Good evening and welcome to the January 14th, 2025 meeting of the Marion County School Board is called to order at 5:32. Mirroring and modeling the way our students begin each day, I ask that we observe a moment of silence at this time. Please join me. Thank you. Reverend Cummings, would you please read our board commitment statement?
Yes, ma'am. We are the Marion County School District Leadership Team. When we come together to work, we are efficient, effective, and productive. Our three most important characteristics are dedicated, transparent, and individually responsible. To work well together, we must demonstrate respect, confront reality, and be accountable. We'll always put students first. We will leave a legacy of success.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I am requesting everyone in the audience to please turn off their electronic devices or turn them on vibrate. Later in the meeting, up to 30 minutes will be provided for the individuals to address the board on matters concerning the operation of the Marion County school system or the school board only. Presentations to the board are limited to 5 minutes and are televised. If you wish to address the board regarding a regular agenda item or matters on which the board customarily takes action, you must first complete a peach form located in the lobby. If you wish to address the board regarding a public hearing or a student discipline matter, please complete a lime green form. These forms must be fully completed and received to the board clerk no later than 5:40. The procedures applicable for each of these are on a separate sheet. Good evening, Ms. Martinez. Please call the roll.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Dr. Allison Campbell, District 1.
Here.
Mrs. Lori Conrad, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Eric Cummings, District 3.
Here.
Mrs. Nancy Thrower, District 4.
Here.
Dr. Sarah James, District 5.
Here.
Chloe Kostowitz, Forest High School.
Here.
For Carson Switzer, North Marion High School.
Here.
Dr. Diane Gullett, Superintendent.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Powers, School Board Attorney.
Here.
Thank you. Very quickly, before we move forward, I just want to welcome our two student board members. We're so thankful to have you both here this evening and look forward to your input as we move through our agenda. So thank you both for being here. Dr. Gullett, please share information regarding who will lead our inspiration and pledge.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm happy to do so. I'm going to bring forward Dr. Brewer right now, and she is going to introduce to us some special guests from Bellevue High School who have been involved with the ESOL Parents Night, and so we really appreciate them being here, and they will provide some inspiration and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Conrad, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Gullett. I want to introduce two students as we strive to highlight student accomplishments at our schools. Twin brothers, Christopher and Nicholas Rivera, are seniors at Bellevue High School. They are here this evening with their principal, Mrs. Guest, and teachers, Mrs. Figueroa and Mrs. Rodriguez. They recognized a great need in their school community, and with the principal, they made it happen. They created a plan, and I will let them share the details of their plan, and it is impressive. And we want to make sure we recognize this because this is something that needs to be replicated in all of our schools. And so we're very excited to share this information with you this evening. And then, as Dr. Gullett stated, they will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Christopher and Nicholas.
Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here. Thank you. All right. I'd like to provide a little bit of background to the conception of our program, Bellevue Habla Inglés. Bellevue Habla Inglés was born as a spin-off to a previous program my brother and I launched and piloted in Colombia called La Cabaña Project. The project aimed to teach a rural Colombian town nestled in the Andean mountain region English and taught sustainable agriculture in this coffee-producing capital in the world. Being the coffee-producing capital in the world, this project aimed to bridge the gap between Colombian coffee producers and American distributors. Likewise, Bellevue Habla Inglés seeks to bridge the language gap between us and America's largest underrepresented workforce demographic, Latinos. In our sophomore year, as tour guides for our schools ambassador program, we noticed an increasing number of Hispanic students transferring to our school, only knowing Spanish. In our junior year, we translated for Latino students at our school's NHS induction ceremony, thus bringing us here. A school conversation with our administration revealed that my high school's Hispanic population had grown to over a quarter in the past year. Once again, my brother and I aim to bridge the gap between opportunities at school and at work, between students and parents, and the administration and the student body, to develop Bellevue Habla Inglés, to teach English to parents in the evenings and advise those groups through either enlistment, enrollment, or employment. It's been our pleasure to use the resources we've gained from our learning in Marion County Public Schools and apply them to make an impact within our immediate community. Teaching English to promising Hispanic parents with the drive and the ability to accomplish such a difficult feat has got to be the best high school experience I've been blessed with having. To experience progress and hope that a growing demographic can continue to make strides in this aspect is very rewarding. And for that, I'd like to acknowledge and thank all of Bellevue High School for making this dream a reality. But more specifically, Ms. Guest, Ms. Figueroa, and Ms. Rodriguez for donating their time. Most importantly, I'd also like to thank the parents, the students, who gave their time to make this idea a reality. This wouldn't be possible without their drive and inherently Hispanic characteristic to persevere and to overcome such challenges, such as that of learning a new language. Thank you to Marion County Public Schools for inviting us here to talk about this wonderful opportunity. Now, it is our honor to lead the Pledge of Allegiance in today's school board meeting. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Nicholas and Christopher, will you wait there for just a minute so the board can come around and get a picture with you?
Yes, I think you turn it on.
It's green. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. We do have some recognitions. So, Dr. Gullett, if you'll call and start with our first recognition.
I
please.
certainly will be happy to, and I just have to say thank you again to Bellevue and to that wonderful team, because that is a growing group of students body that we have, and so impressed. So thank you. And we have a number, chair of and board, a number of recognitions tonight, so bear with me. First and foremost, behind me are our two newest student school board representatives. I'd like to provide some introduction to you, board, and to the public. I'm pleased to introduce Chloe Kostowitz, who is from Forest High School. She is a senior, and she is in a number of clubs. I can't read them all because it would take the rest of the evening, but an incredible leader in a number of those organizations. She also plays a multitude of sports and tennis, and I think she's the number 5 seed, I've heard. She serves as the wing commander of the AFJROTC program. And so she does a lot of organization and leadership. I know you'd be very proud of that as well. And she is a member of the magnet program CCAP. And so a perpetual learner and very devoted to our community. So welcome, Chloe. Also pleased to introduce Carson Switzer, who's a senior at North Marion High School, and also incredible credentials in many, many clubs. And Carson is involved in doing his ACE diploma, which he'll conclude this year. He founded North Marion High School's Ultimate Frisbee Club. So there's leadership and entrepreneurship if I've ever seen it. He also serves, in addition to all the clubs, Vice President of the National Honor Society. So incredible leadership there. Member of the Government Association and a number of sports, including golf, soccer, volleyball, and cross country. And he is very involved with his church in helping others, and also hopes to attend the University of Florida. Go Gators. So welcome, Carson.
Student representatives, can you just come down and get a group picture with the board, please? Okay, our second recognition, Dr. Gullett,
Yes.
for Red Ribbon Week.
Well, I think we're going to do Literacy Month first,
Okay.
just because we have a number of them. But we'll have Miss Deb Riedel come forward, and board, you're going to hear a little bit about what we're doing for celebrating literacy, which we know is at the core of what we do throughout all content areas. Literacy is critical. So, Miss Riedel, thank you.
Yes. Good evening, Chair Conrad, Dr. Gullett, and board members. The ability to read empowers our students to succeed academically, think critically, and engage with the world around them. Fostering strong literacy skills prepares students for lifelong learning and personal growth. Celebrate Literacy Week in the state of Florida is designed to raise awareness about the importance of reading and to inspire Florida students and families to make reading part of their daily routines. Celebrate Literacy Week 2025 is scheduled for the week of January 27th through January 31st. This year's theme is Building Literacy, Constructing the Foundation for Success. With this theme in mind, schools will be celebrating books related to workforce education, and each school's Literacy Leadership Committee developed a plan to support these efforts. At this time, I would like to introduce Mrs. Heather Lapira, principal at Saddlewood Elementary, to share how her school plans to celebrate literacy and to recognize a few students who showcase outstanding achievement in literacy.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Dr. Gullett. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening to highlight a foundational element that lies at the heart of every successful education, and that's literacy. This year for Literacy Week at Saddlewood, we have many exciting events planned. Some of the events that will take place on our campus, just some of them, are the guest readers in each classroom, collaborative discussions on our favorite books. We're buddying up with a book, bringing our favorite stuffed animal to read with, dressing up as a vocabulary word or idiom. That's my favorite day. And then we're going to culminate that with a parent literacy night that we wrap up the week of events. I'm really proud to share with you my students. I love to highlight such great kids, and these are the students that we wanted to bring to you today. They're excellent examples of what they achieve when you have a strong emphasis on literacy. These 4 young learners have not only excelled in reading and writing, but they have also demonstrated a love for learning and a commitment to pushing the boundaries of what they can achieve. I would like to introduce first Isaiah Torres. Come here, friend. He is our top AR prize winner this semester. He was the first 9 weeks he was our top, and now in our second 9 weeks he is the top. He has read over 56 books independently in first grade with a 98% accuracy. So I want to highlight him. Congratulations. And he has been with us since VPK, I must say, correct? Right, yep, okay, good job. Guadalupe, come here, Guadalupe. Guadalupe Garcia. She is, within her peer group, she really promotes literacy, and she holds the top spot in AR, right, in second grade. I can't see. And she has read over 60 books this school year independently with a 97% average. So good job. Bryson Simmons, he's our third grader we'd like to highlight. Bryson. Bryson has been with us since kindergarten as well, right? Yep. And he's always tackling challenging texts. He's never forgetting to read his books. And his comprehension for reading right now is at a 95%. And, in third grade, that's a really good percentage. So we're really proud of him. So congratulations. And Vion Patel. So Vion is our top reader for 5th grade. I have a lot to say about Vion. Vion consistently scores in the top level of his FAST assessments year after year. He actually emailed me a couple of months ago, right, from his school email, and he asked me to head up a kindness project. He said, I really think it's important for our school, and so he headed up our kindness project. He has been at Saddlewood since kindergarten, and he has led the top reading spot every single year since kindergarten. Every single year. In our AR, he has earned multiple Saddlewood reading shirts, right? And he has also earned level 5s, both in reading and math, earning perfect math scores 2 years in a row. And that just shows you how literacy impacts every subject area, not just our reading. It impacts everything. So I just want to highlight, it's just proof that your commitment to education and literacy is going to make you a success. So congratulations. And these students are not only excelling in literacy, they really embody the future of our children. They show us what is possible when we invest in developing those early literacy skills from a very early age. And they remind us that literacy is more than just about our academic success in life. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight my students tonight.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lapira, will you hang out for just a minute so we can come get a quick picture with your group? And I just have to add very quickly, my 1st grade teacher heart is so happy. Just congratulations to all of you for your hard work, getting those AR points, reading your books. Sometimes you have to read them more than once if you're getting a 95 or a 98% in your comprehension. So super proud of all 3 of you. So we're going to come down and grab a picture. Okay, Dr. Gullett, we're ready
to
for our
continue.
next recognition.
We are, Chair. Thank you. So I'm pleased to have Ms. Del Nodal come forward because we're now going to recognize winners from Red Ribbon Week. And I think everyone knows how important it is to make good choices, and Red Ribbon Week is a great reminder and opportunity to highlight that. So Ms. Del Nodal, thank you.
Good evening, Chair Conrad, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Gullett. Each year, we look forward to sharing information about our collaboration with the Marion County Children's Alliance and our participation in Red Ribbon events. Ms. Danielle Perez, school social worker, worked with the Children's Alliance again this year and is here to share information about the events and announce this year's Spirit Contest winners.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. As you know, the history of Red Ribbon Week dates back to 1985 to honor the amazing work of Enrique Kiki Camarena. The Red Ribbon Campaign is the oldest and largest drug prevention program in the nation. This campaign is set to send a clear message to our community that we do not want illegal drugs in Marion County, and it hopes to encourage our families to talk to their children about the dangers of drug abuse. This year's event was like no other. The kickoff event at the Marion County Drive-In Theater had 748 of our family members and community members in attendance that came in 172 cars. That number included 326 adults and 422 youth. Many local youth volunteers helped at the event, ensuring that it was able to go off smoothly. I would like to take a moment to thank some of the vendors and sponsors who helped make that kickoff event possible. So thank you to the Marion County Children's Alliance, Marion County Drive-In Theater, CASA, Boys and Girls Club of Marion County, FWH and Associates, Celebrate Recovery at Celebration Church, Marion County Treatment Courts, the Arnett House, TFP of Marion County, SWAT, Picking Up the Pieces, Brazen, Safe Kids, Marion County Sheriff's Department, the Ocala Police Department, and the Marion County Hospital District. This year, our schools embraced the theme of Life is a Movie, Live Drug-Free. On Monday of Red Ribbon Week, our schools focused on mental health with Movie Magic Monday. Many of our schools created short films or posters to promote a drug-free world. Tuesday was Take Action Tuesday, Directing Your Future. Some things that were seen on this day, including writing letters to iconic or favorite movie characters to encourage them to make good choices. On Wednesday, our schools focused on physical and mental health with Wellness Wednesday. This day focused on creating good habits, and some schools hosted wellness fairs. Throwback Thursdays had our schools looking back at classic films and discussing the positive messages and themes that were found throughout them. Finally, on Friday, our schools hosted Red Carpet Days for our finale Friday, the grand premiere of A Drug-Free Life. Some of them also hosted film festivals to showcase the students' hard work during this week. The schools worked hard to engage and encourage our students to make good choices about drugs and show them the dangers of using drugs. Many of our schools had pledge banners filled with student signatures pledging to be drug-free. A big thank you is owed to our schools that participated in this year's Red Ribbon Week Spirit Contest. So thank you to Fordham Early Learning Academy, Denellen Middle School, Osceola Middle School, Wyomina Park Middle School, Ocala Charter High School, Legacy Elementary School, Bellevue Middle School, Spar Elementary School, and Howard Middle School. All of these schools went above and beyond to demonstrate their passion and understanding of being drug-free. The winners of this year's Spirit Contest have outdone themselves. So at the elementary school level, we want to congratulate Fordham Early Learning Academy. The school spirit that this school showed, you could see it even from the road. You want to come down and get your check? So as they come down, the middle school level, we need to congratulate Osceola Middle School. After a tough tiebreaker between the schools, this school was able to pull off the victory after comparing student-made films. And then at the high school level, congratulations to Ocala Charter High School.
Stay.
They put
Ain't that easy?
everything into this contest, and the students went above and beyond. So thank you so much for allowing us to bring this amazing event into our schools. It is an honor to watch it grow each year and the impact it makes on our student population. Thank you.
All right, board, we'll sneak around here to the front and grab a picture. We're just very thankful for the work that you're doing.
Yeah, just stay right behind it.
Okay, Dr. Gullett, I think we're ready for our next recognition.
Thank
With our attendance winners.
Yes, absolutely. Ms. Del Nodal is going to come back and board. I don't have to share with you. I mean, you have prioritized attendance, and thank you for your support of the whole notion and understanding that we cannot teach students if we do not have them in class. And so attendance is at the cornerstone of being able to teach our students, and thank you for your recognition of that and opportunity tonight to recognize attendance winners. Thank you, Ms. Del Nodal.
Absolutely. We are grateful for another opportunity to talk about attendance. Ms. Sherry Loria, our school attendance advocate and court liaison, was unable to attend the last recognition, but she is here with us this evening and is very excited to share with you the latest school achievements. With that, I welcome Ms. Loria.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am excited about this because as a district, we just keep increasing with our attendance, and this is so exciting. So today we're recognizing one elementary and one middle school that has increased their quarter two attendance more than any other school in the district. In addition, these two schools are above our district's daily average of 91.90% for quarter two. But our district average is now even higher than that, and these two schools are exceeding that average as well. To recognize the schools with the most improved attendance for the previous quarter, Marion County Public Schools has a traveling attendance banner. This banner is displayed proudly at these schools for the next quarter to recognize a job well done. We're going to begin by recognizing the most improved elementary school for attendance, with an increase in attendance of 1.10%. This elementary school is working hard, and their Tier 1 ideas are getting their students excited to get to school on time and every day. And I wanted to highlight some of their programs so you can all hear the great things that they're doing. One is a riddle of the day. It's announced on the morning show and is conducted weekly. Students must be at school to participate, and all students that submitted the correct answer receive a prize when they're in the cafeteria. The next is perfect attendance is recognized quarterly at the awards ceremony in the cafeteria, and the students are receiving bracelets and necklaces for their perfect attendance. For PBIS events, they're conducted quarterly as well, and the students must be present to attend, and the buzz from these events has made the kids so excited, and they're just getting there on time and every day to be a part. Finally, this school has a Spirit Day Fridays. The class showing the most spirit receives ice pops. The students have so much fun with being at school and being a part of showing their school spirit. So I love all their great ideas, and I want to announce the school implementing them. At this time, I'd like to invite Principal Mrs. Tracy Wilk and her attendance team from Emerald Shores Elementary School to receive the traveling attendance banner. Congratulations to this amazing team.
Do you want to do a picture just with elementary or do both of them?
It's up to you.
I'm wondering about space with the banner. You think we
Kevin
should
will
do
tell
one
us
at a
where to
time?
stand.
However you want to do it. He's bringing them up here.
Kevin, how are we on space? Would it be better to do a picture with each and then come? Okay, we're coming.
Next, we move to our middle school attendance recognition. This middle school improved its attendance by 1.40% in quarter 2. This year, more than ever, they have focused on building positive school culture to be sure each student feels welcomed, valued, and connected. Some of the ways they have done this is by using a PBIS token economy, where students are recognized for being in class every day and for being on the prowl, which stands for students being prepared, respectful, on time, working hard, and being a leader. The next thing they're doing is they're striving for clear and open communication between the families and the schools. They're doing this with quarterly family engagement events in the evening, monthly newsletters, weekly Skylar's Home, and personalized calls home from their family engagement liaison and guidance team. These calls help the families understand the importance of attendance and assist them with any barriers they may be facing. Finally, the school has also implemented a mentoring program where targeted students receive check-ins from the leadership team and are provided monthly incentives for both their attendance and grades. So it's great to see how the school is really valuing and creating a positive environment where students and families alike feel connected and want to be a part. So to announce the school implementing them, I'd like to invite Principal Mr. Dion Gary and his attendance team from Bellevue Middle to receive the traveling attendance banner. And congratulations.
Okay.
So we get to call
Yes.
banner.
Get your steps in.
Okay. All right, thank you. Dr. Gullett, I think we have one more recognition.
We certainly do. Last but not least, tonight I'm just pleased to introduce two of our new leadership team members. I'm just going to have them stand board as we typically do, so I can just share a little bit of background about them. They're no strangers to Marion County. I'm going to have the first one is Yvonne Boombach. Please stand. She, as you know, is our Director of Facilities, Construction, and Maintenance. And Ms. Boombach has a master's degree in engineering and architecture and certification for state requirements for educational facilities, which we know is SREF in Florida. And so we are really pleased to have her in this role. She has served for the last 5.5 years as the design coordinator in our facilities department. So officially, again, congratulations and welcome, Ms. Boombach.
Welcome, Ms. Boombach.
And Casey Griffith is the newest member of our team. He is standing over here to my right, and he is the new Director of Governmental and Community Relations. He comes to us from a role serving the University of Florida, and he worked in the Office of Undergraduate Affairs, and we are really pleased to have him on board. He has been in Marion County a very long time. I don't even know if were you born here? No, not born here, but I know he's lived here for a very long time, and so is very well acquainted with our community and agencies and municipalities. So we're really pleased to have Mr. Griffith on board.
Yes, thank you.
And that concludes the recognitions for
Okay.
tonight, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. All right, we graciously want to acknowledge the following donations made to benefit our schools, our students, and our staff members, including a $1,000 donation to Bellevue Elementary School from Hamilton House Incorporated to be used to purchase items and food for holiday events. Thank you very much, Hamilton House. We have $1,150 to Sunrise Elementary School from the Martial Arts Center, Southwest Ocala, to be used at the principal's discretion. Thank you very much, the Martial Arts Center of Southwest Ocala. We have $2,622.45 to Westport High School from Jostens Incorporated to be used to purchase lanyards and ID badges holders for students. So thank you very much, Jostens. $6,000 to Marion Technical College for the Summer Glen Veterans, from the Summer Glen Veterans and Patriots Club to be used for student scholarships. Thank you very much to our veterans group. $1,100 to Denellen High School from Battery Boys to be used for the Power Generation Academy's class project. So thank you very much, Battery Boys, for that donation. We have lastly a $1,000 donation to Vanguard High School from Sonia Nasser to be used for the expenses and incentives for the Vanguard academic team. Thank you, Sonia Nasser, for that donation of $1,000. We greatly appreciate it, and I know the schools and the students do as well. Dr. Gullett, please make a recommendation on this evening's school board agenda.
Certainly, thank you. I recommend approval of the agenda for the January 14th, 2025 school board meeting with the materials in the board packet, those materials distributed to board members at the meeting, and the audio recording included as part of the official record of the meeting, with the exception of the following items: D24.1, D24.2, D24.3, D24.4, D24.5, D24.6, D24.7, and D24.8 that have been placed under discussion, as well as item C11.1 that has been pulled and placed under discussion pulled agenda items. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gullett. May I have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation?
So move.
Motion by Reverend Cummings,
Second.
second by Dr. James. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 12th, 2024 school board meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Board Member Thrower. May I have a
Second.
second? Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 19th, 2024 special school board organizational meeting? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Dr. James. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Campbell. Is there any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 19th, 2024 Board of Directors Leasing Corporation meeting? May I have a motion?
Motion
moved.
to approve.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Thrower, second by Reverend Cummins. Thank you. Are there any addition or corrections to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 21st, 2024 special school board meeting? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Dr. James. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Reverend Cummings. Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November 21st, 2024 administrative briefing and work session? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve the work session.
Thank you, Board Member Thrower. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. James. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the December 10th, 2024 school board meeting? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Dr.
Second.
James. Second by Reverend Cummings. Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the December 12th, 2024 special school board meeting? May I have a motion?
Motion to. Second.
Motion by Dr. James, second by Dr. Campbell. Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. Ms. Martinez, please provide the proof of publication for tonight's school board meeting.
The notice for the January 14th, 2025 school board meeting ran in the Ocala Gazette on December 27th, 2024. The proof of publication has been attached in board docs under proof of publication.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Good evening, Attorney Powers. Please explain the rules governing persons who wish to address the school board this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In compliance with Section 286.0114 of Florida statutes, the school board has adopted uniform procedures for public speakers who wish to speak at this evening's meeting, either regarding one of today's agenda items or a matter relating to the operations of the school district. These procedures will ensure the public has a reasonable opportunity to be heard on school board or school district matters. A written summary of these procedures are available from the table in the lobby. Public speaker forms are also located on the same table. The completed forms were due to the school board's clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. This evening's speakers will be called prior to the business portion of the school board's meeting in the order of receipt by the school board clerk. Before you begin speaking, please state your full name for the record and spell your last name. Each speaker will have 5 minutes of time. However, if there are more than 5 speakers, the board may seek consensus to limit each speaker's time to 3 minutes. When the speaker has 1 minute remaining, the speaker will receive a visual symbol or notice to complete his or her comments. Speakers may not yield their time to other people. Speakers and meeting attendees are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner. Therefore, verbal attacks and profanity are strictly prohibited. Pursuant to the procedures for public comments, item 6, speakers are not to identify specific individuals other than themselves or their child unless a statement is provided 24 hours in advance. The board is here to listen to your comments only. You may be directed to an administrative staff member following the conclusion of your comments for further assistance to address your concerns. If there are matters dealing with student discipline, including expulsions, they will be scheduled at the conclusion of the televised portion of this meeting. Parents may address the board regarding a discipline matter at that time. To ensure student privacy, only a parent or guardian may use a student's first or last name. Identifying references to or identification of students or their families are also strictly prohibited. A speaker's speech does not reflect the endorsement, sponsorship, position, or expression of the school district. Thank you for your attention to the board's requirements. Madam Chair, that concludes my explanatory remarks.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Ms. Martinez, do we have any speakers this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 9 speakers.
Okay, Board, since we have a limit of 30 minutes, would you mind if we moved the time for comments to 3 minutes instead of 5? We have consensus on that?
Please.
I think they're
Fine with me.
Okay. All right, Ms. Martinez, will you set the timer for 3 minutes? I just want to share a little bit of general information. Since we're in a new facility, there are lights on the top of the podium, so you'll see green and then yellow, and then when you're out of time, you'll see the red light go off. All right, thank you, Ms. Martinez. I think we're ready for our first speaker.
First speaker, Marcia Muncaster.
Dr. Gullett, board members, it's Marcia Muncaster, M-U-N-C-A-S-T-E-R. I'm here on behalf of the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. No members are paid and all performances are free and open to the public. Craig Lilly, former band director at North Marion High School, is our current conductor music director. In 2017, a 25-year in-kind partnership with Marion County Schools was dissolved, and we were immediately required to pay a usage fee for weekly rehearsals and quarterly concerts at the MD High Auditorium. At a subsequent board meeting, Dr. Craigham assessed our usage fee at $16 an hour based upon the use of only the auditorium as opposed to the higher rate for the entire campus, and submitted an MOU to that effect, which was personally confirmed with Dr. Ham last week. All subsequent contracts have specified the agreed-upon $16 fee per hour. Our rehearsals previously held at MTI are now held at the Howard Middle School Band Room under the watchful eye of Howard Middle School Band Director Brittany Schofield, also a member of the band. We were notified in December that our hourly usage fee would immediately increase to $26 an hour, an increase of more than 60% for a rehearsal site less than 1/5 the size of MTI Auditorium, for which utility cost will be considerably less. The current agreements for January and February were previously submitted and signed by our board president at the $16 an hour fee. Both agreements without our prior knowledge or consent were altered and submitted at the disputed amount, a questionable practice at least. Just last week, we were notified that our hourly usage fees for concert weekends will also increase by 300%, from $16 to $65 per hour. That increase alone will push our weekend outlay to CPS per concert weekend from $780 to $1,319, $8,396 per year, including 40 rehearsals. Add to that $520 for police security, and the annual cost jumps to over $10,000. We include among our ID members, ages 13 to 96, some of the finest young musicians in Marion County. We have seen in our 35 years students pass through our ranks, and several, including Marion County's only David Jones, director of the Forest High School Band, have gone on to become public school educators. We currently have 10 to 12 Marion County public school students in the band, and 4 of our long-term members are volunteering their time this year, as in previous years, to help local band directors with their programs. Our financial support comes solely from patron donations, and our involvement does not stop when rehearsals end. Through the generosity of our patrons, you have purchased our own equipment, and in turn generously allow Marion County school bands to utilize it for performances at MTI, minimizing the need for them to transport their own equipment for a concert or band festival. You see, we lead by example because we all know that participation in the arts leads to more well-rounded, scholastically outstanding students and young adults. Mrs. Brown Cretan Cole, for whom MTI Auditorium was named, got her love of music from her family and a father and brother who both played in community bands. Help us continue her legacy. We respectfully ask that you waive rather than raise all usage fees, or alternately, waive all rehearsal fees and keep MTI fees at $16 an hour. Please join us in continuing our efforts with the students and community of Marion County. Our more seasoned performers share their experience and skills with these young musicians. We award
Your time
annual
has
scholarships to
expired.
deserving high school seniors and bring in guest
Your
artists to
time
perform
has
with the band.
expired.
Sorry. I prepared for 5 minutes. Sorry.
Van Williams.
My name is Van Williams, Williams. I'm a member of the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band, a product of the Marion County Public Schools, a teacher at Forest High School where I'm also on band staff, and a lifetime Ocala resident. I began attending the Kingdom of the Sun concerts at the Old Forest with my grandmother in 2006 at the urging of my band director, Mr. David Norman, a percussionist in the Kingdom of the Sun Band, when I started band class at Osceola in 6th grade. I attended concerts throughout middle school and high school, and as a teenager thought, I'll practice enough to be able to play with them one day. Upon graduating from college and moving back home to Ocala, I immediately joined the band and have played with them ever since. As a fifth-generation Ocalian, it is extra special to me to attend rehearsals and perform concerts on the campus of my older sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, and parents with the memory of my now-passed grandmother. It is especially fun for me during intermission to go and find my students in the crowd, as well as my 4 young nephews, and hear about their first experiences seeing live music and how excited they are for their uncle to teach them how to play an instrument when their hands are large enough to hold one. This band is an increasingly rare example of a multi-generational group of people who otherwise have nothing in common coming together to create art together and bring it to our community entirely free to the audience. Its membership ranges from current Marion County Public School students all the way in age and expertise to retirees and professional musicians, and we all benefit, learn, and become better from the shared experience. As far as I'm concerned, if there is even one Marion County Public School student benefiting from this experience, then it is a worthwhile use of our facilities. This is not to mention the greater benefit to the community or the fact that we have several students in our current ranks and dozens more who have graduated and gone on from our ensemble to become successful musicians and educators. In the past, the board has recognized this value and allowed us to use our public school facilities for free, not just for the band, but also this body has allowed sports teams to play in various gymnasia and kids and families to play on the now walled-off playgrounds in the evenings and on the weekends, but I digress. Increasing this price on us yet again endangers the continuity of our nonprofit organization, whose presence here in Ocala enriches the community, as well as the musical lives of many Marion County Public School students and teachers for the mere cost of keeping the lights and AC on for a few extra hours per week. Please recognize this and do not price us out of existence. Thank you.
Janet Viles.
I'm Janet Voiles, V as in victory, O-Y-L-E-S. I moved here to Ocala exactly 6 years ago. One of the reasons I moved here is because of the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band. we were getting ready to retire. I am a musician. I've been a music educator for 48 years. I was reluctant to give up my love just because I was retired. We found the Kingdom of the Sun Band. I moved on January 6th, 2019, and was in rehearsal the next day. This band is everything to me. I'm on the board of directors now. Meeting the young people who are new to music and knowing what it's going to mean to them as they go on has been vital. When I came out of that first rehearsal, I knew I had moved to the right place. I felt like I was home. I have since found that Ocala is very, very giving to the arts, and it's a wonder and a pleasure to be part of that. I hope I can continue to be part of that for as long as I live with the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band, and I hope that you all help us to do that by keeping our prices within our range. Thank you.
Diana Reed.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Diana Reed, R-E-A-D, like, read, literacy. And I have the honor to serve as the announcer for the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band. I've been in the band off and on since 2006, first as a flutist, then as a greeter in the lobby, and now as the voice of the band. It has been my pleasure to frequently interact with members of the audience, hearing how much they enjoy our concerts, grateful that we offer affordable music entertainment. We happily serve our community and honor our military with our music, although the cost in time, effort, and money are significant to the band and each band member. The proposed increases to use the facilities to rehearse and present our music to the community are more than we can afford. Those who enjoy and appreciate our music will indeed feel the loss, but the loss will be greater than that. Every band member will lose a significant and meaningful part of their lives, including the young people who benefit from participating alongside seasoned musicians. This is the cost you should factor into your budget and adjust your proposal accordingly so we can continue to serve our community and honor our military. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Sandgreen.
My name is David Sandgren, Sandgren, currently serving as Vice President of the Board of Kingdom of the Sun. I've been around here for 2 decades now, I guess, and I'm a retired Navy pilot, commander, and a retired Delta International pilot. And whatever baggage and value that brings, I bring it to the community via my trumpet. And I'm trumpet section leader, and throughout those years, we've had several, upwards toward 10, trumpet players from the student realm of Marion County. And one in particular, I'll just call him Mike for the purposes of this evening, was very special, disgustingly good is what he was, putting the rest of us wanting to run over our trumpets if we could. Anyway, his mom has written a letter in appreciation for the Kingdom of the Sun. I'd like to read part of that at this time. When Michael was graduating when Michael was graduating and leaving Kingdom of the Sun, he was featured as a soloist at his last concert, and then he was awarded a scholarship. It was very much appreciated. It is wonderful that they give scholarships to seniors who have played with the band for a certain length of time. The Kingdom of the Sun band has so much to offer to the community. They provide an opportunity for musicians to play and perform with people of various ages. The older members seem to love having their younger members in the band. I can attest to that. They provide learning opportunities for musicians as well as scholarships for students that meet the criteria. Their performances are free of charge, and they typically have a great number of people attending the concerts. Oftentimes, assisted living facilities bring a group of their residents to the concerts. My husband and I still attend some of the concerts, even though our son has not been in the band since 2022. In closing, we hope that the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band can continue. We enjoy going to their performances and seeing the interactions between the multi-generational band members. Sincerely. She happens to be a teacher in the school system as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Morgan.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Morgan, Morgan, and thank you all very much for this opportunity to speak. I have the privilege of being one of the charter members of the Kingdom of the Sun Band. We began our band in 1991, and there's 3 of us left that are charter members, and I'm one of them. I've witnessed our humble beginnings, our amazing growth, and our current situation. We became a part of the community. We joined the school community back in 1991. I actually have one of our programs where you all are listed as our sponsor. We've always mentored and encouraged school kids to be a part of us. We have several students that have gone on to become music educators. Example, and I know Van already mentioned him, David Jones, who's now our Forest High School band director. I could never have imagined when I was expecting my oldest son in 1999 that 15 years later, David Jones would be his band director at Forest High School. How amazing. It is well known that we strongly support the veterans. I've personally watched this for 35 years, especially the World War II veterans who are almost all gone now. At the end of every concert, we play the salute to the Armed Forces of the United States of America, where the veterans can stand when we play their song. That has been amazing. Again, most of the World War II vets are gone, but so many other veterans come from our other conflicts that the U.S. has been involved in. On a personal note, my dad played with us for 17 years. What a great privilege that was for me to have that experience with him, along with my son, who played with us for 4 years. I just request from the bottom of my heart that you all consider the rates that you've proposed to us, and to please consider keeping it at a reasonable price so we can continue to provide this wonderful service and opportunity for music in our community. Thank you. Thank you.
Mallory Ivories.
Good evening, all. My name is Mallory Ivers, I-V as in Victor, E-R-S. As the saying goes, music speaks where words cannot. And I found that true for almost as long as I can remember. When I first moved to Ocala back in 2006 or 2007 or so, one of the first things that I did when I switched to my new school, I started playing the violin. And from that point on, not only was I learning a new skill, I also found a community, a musical community. And I found that true as I've continued on in my life, from every major life transition, whether it be entering middle school for the first time when I first started picking up the clarinet, even to high school, and even at college as I joined various ensembles from marching bands to concert bands to even a little bit of orchestra and choir in there. All throughout those, I found a sense of community, and that community has been absolutely priceless. And as I've transitioned into another big chapter in my life, moving back home and finding work, I found this community, partly thanks to my own high school band director. I would not be here without her, truly. And every opportunity that I've had from every musical community, from age 6 to here I am right now, has been absolutely priceless. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Diana Williams.
Hello, I'm Diana Williams, Williams. It is my understanding that the school board wants to significantly raise the rates for the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band to utilize the facilities at MTI for their concerts. The community band has been around for over 35 years, and I've been attending so many of these wonderful concerts, along with my 92-year-old mother and my 4 grandkids as young as 2. They are so enjoyable, and I'd hate to see these wonderful cultural events stripped from our community because the school board set an unreasonable expense hurdle that these musicians cannot overcome. The proposed increase is substantial and a shock to the band. Because they are not-for-profit, it takes time to do fundraising, and you have provided no lead time. It seems more reasonable to give them a heads up and make the increases incremental so that they may be better prepared and can build their resources, not to mention explore alternatives. My thought is, you have these facilities, and the auditorium seems severely underutilized. As a taxpayer, I'd like to see the facilities maximized for the benefit of the community. Might I mention, these musicians, ranging in age from teenagers to in their 90s, all work tirelessly to present concerts for all who wish to come, and we may attend for free. I think you underestimate the value that they bring to this community. There's a reason so many people are moving to Marion County, and one big reason is the cultural events available right here. This band is a not-for-profit, and what the school board plans to charge and the percentage of the increase is simply unreasonable. The fee you get from them is not a drop in the ocean of your total funding budget, but what they provide to the community adds great value for young and old alike. When we were supporting the school board to get their 1-cent sales tax approved, one of the contentions of the retired people in the community was that they don't have kids in school and they don't have grandkids in school. Most of the audience for these concerts are retired people. These people are paying school board taxes, and this is certainly one way that they can benefit from the school board at a minimal expense. The band also honors veterans, and so many are so proud to stand when they play their traditional salute to our veterans when their branch is recognized. This partnership between the school board and the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band is an example of how to make this community a great place to live. Let's continue to make it affordable and something that we can continue to enjoy. Thank you.
J. Craig Lilly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Craig Lilly, Lilly. I moved down here 20 years ago from New England, originally from Ohio. Go Buckeyes. And just to let you know how much we really enjoy this band, we're actually having a rehearsal next Monday during the national championship game, so I may cut that rehearsal a little short. Anyhow, what the band has meant to me is just awesome. I was playing percussion for 18 years in the band, then they took one of my sticks away and made me the conductor, which I absolutely love. I look forward to rehearsals, spend a lot of hours getting music ready, et cetera, et cetera. So, and what I've seen do to the community, all age groups, like they've mentioned, we've had anywhere from 13-year-old to 96-year-olds currently playing in the band. And it's just incredible to be able to stand in front of them. I tell them it's an honor to be in front of them and to get all these people, various backgrounds, ethnicities and all that, to come together in a combination and really perform some fantastic music. It's all, it's really a pleasure. We're going to celebrate our 35th anniversary. Les and I are sharing the podium. It's going to be awesome, a 35 years celebration of that. And it's going to be a great concert. I hope you guys will attend either February 22nd and 23rd, I believe. So anyhow, I've worked with every single high school in the county, either with a band or percussion. And my daughter's a freshman at Westport High School this year in the band. Lord help me. And they asked me to start actually a beginning band at the Ina A. Colon Academy, so I'm doing that part-time, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So I love it. I'm going to be 70 years old this year, and I'm not looking at slowing down. Why are you laughing? They thought I was 55. But anyhow, I absolutely love it. It's my passion. I tell all my students through the years, I hope you're able to find your passion in life, and you'll have a wonderful life. And that's what I'm planning on doing. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Dr. Gullett, we're going to discuss this in your board comments. You've got some information to share with us, is that correct?
Yes, Madam Chair, as I shared with you, I had asked Ms. Dobbins to share at the end when we have comment section to provide an update to the board of the fee schedule and open it up for board discussion if any items that you'd like to see us do and how to address this.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Ms. Dobbins.
Good evening, Chair Conrad, board members, Superintendent Dr. Gullett. So
For the facility rental fee schedule, that is a board-approved document. As you are aware, we had some staffing changes in the summer, so the rental fee application was moved over to the operations office, and since the beginning of the school year, we have taken on approval of the rental fees. In doing so, since it is a board-approved document, we have to follow that board-approved recommendation, or not even a recommendation, board-approved fee schedule. So in doing so, we have applied the board-approved fee schedule to Kingdom of the Sun. In communication with Kingdom of the Sun, they had asked us to research some board meetings, and I did review a previous board meeting in which it was confirmed in that meeting that they were appropriately placed on the fee schedule. There was a work session which was not televised that some notes have been provided on, but still nothing has been produced by Kingdom of the Sun. And in researching with our various departments, no MOU or board-approved letter has come forth that is giving permission for the $16 an hour. Had I had a board approval to do so, we would have applied the $16 an hour. So we're just staff is simply trying to follow the board-approved fee schedule on this.
Thank you. I think we have a couple of questions. So, Dr. James, go ahead, please.
I just have some clarifying questions. So, my understanding, Ms. Dobbins, is the Kingdom of the Sun has been renting all year. They rent, is it once a month at the middle school, and then there's a performance at MTI? I'm just trying to understand what they've been paying for and why all of a sudden, what has prompted the change all of a sudden. Can you paint the timeline a little bit?
I will most certainly try to. So the monthly rentals come in waves. So they could have had a monthly rental that spanned from summer into December for the auditorium. They may have one. I know they have one that came up in December for renting in January and February, the Howard Middle School band room. That's the one that triggered this conversation. It was the first one that came across our desk. And as we applied the board-approved fee schedule, that's where we applied the appropriate amount, and it changed what they were previously doing, unbeknownst to us. Because when we receive those documentations, our job is simply to review them for compliance with their insurance, look at where they fall on that fee schedule, and insert those amounts in there and send it back approved. And it was at that point they came forward and communicated with us that they had been paying $16 an hour for MTI and the classroom at Howard Middle School since, I'm assuming, around 2017. I was not aware of that 16, but in researching, I have found no supporting board-approved document that supported the $16 an hour.
Understood. So just to be clear, so that's every rental of any space in Marion County Public Schools is $16 an hour based on since 2017?
No. Are you talking
not
about for
what's
Kingdom
board
of the Sun?
approved, what has been past practice?
For Kingdom of the Sun,
Yes, for Kingdom of
what
the
they've
Sun.
informed me is that they've been paying $16 an hour.
Well, we should have invoices that demonstrate that,
and it
right?
has been $16 an hour.
Okay. And then at some point this summer, then there was a rental put in, and someone on our staff approved it at the $16 an hour rate?
In December.
Well, I'm talking about all summer. So the shift in staff happened this summer. And so I'm just trying, who approved it, and who was the person who approved it prior to Ms. Dobbins?
It was a person in governmental relations.
Okay. Okay.
Who has since left our district.
Okay. Well, I have some thoughts, but I can wait until everyone else shares.
Yes, go ahead, Dr.
Sure.
Campbell.
I have a couple of questions as well. So my first question is related to the storage space at MTI. So is there still equipment and things being stored at MTI, and are we charging for that storage space?
Not that I'm aware of. As far as charging, I don't know what their storage space is being currently used.
Okay.
Because I know we had some movement there.
Right. I know there were some changes that were being made, and obviously the room that now houses some offices and things has been vacated, but I didn't know if there was still storage being used in the front area.
Last I
or-
recalled, the front was offered to them where it was the old concession
Right.
stand in the lobby area.
Okay. So it's potential that there is at least some storage that's occurring in the MTI that at no charge to Kingdom of the Sun.
That's my understanding.
Okay. My other question actually is unrelated to Kingdom of the Sun because I also heard today from another nonprofit that uses another facility that Howard Academy. And so this new fee schedule, it appears to me, and I know we're going to have some conversation, it appears to me that potentially with some staffing changes that we've had, there were some grandfathered in concepts of who paid what and nonprofits got a different rate and that sort of thing. I do see at the bottom of this that the fee schedule was board approved in 2010. So perhaps it warrants an opportunity for this board in 2025 to have some conversation about what that might look like, specifically for nonprofits that have student involvement. We do know that our costs have continued to increase, and what that looks like from cleaning fees to utility costs, et cetera, and even putting in new LED lights in all of our auditoriums that they're all going to be able to take advantage of. That comes at significant cost. So I welcome the opportunity to have additional conversation as the board to potentially approve a different fee schedule specifically for nonprofits with student involvement.
Board Member Thrower? Do you have
Sure,
a-
yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I just want to start by acknowledging what a treasure the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band has been to Marion County for 35 years. So that means the world to me to see it continue. I think it's unfortunate that this has not been reviewed since 2010 because down the line, people come and go. Agreements get made, hands get shook, and there's nothing formal. That the brief research that I've been able to do this afternoon that really documents the journey with this organization. And so my suggestion would be, since all of the nonprofits, I agree with Board Member Campbell, it all merits review. It's 2025, and let's take a good look at what we can do to keep the costs down as much as possible, because who pays for these buildings anyway?
Taxpayer.
The taxpayers, of which every single one of us sitting up here pay it too. We're taxpayers. We also have a fiscal responsibility to Marion County Public Schools, to make everything work. So my suggestion would be to do an MOU at the current rate, freeze it, for now until this review can be completed. Let's look at all of it and then come up with a fee schedule that has been communicated out in an appropriate amount of time so that all of these nonprofits that are such a huge part of the fabric of Marion County can be prepared to continue delivering the amazing events that they do. There's a lot to unpack here, and I want to have some time. I think it merits review, but I think you guys need to move forward with your planning and your practicing and knowing that this is going to happen, and then let's formalize it and get it together. That would be my suggestion.
Here, can I?
Yes.
Did you have practice on the 6th of January? I saw there was a rental for 1/6, and was payment made for the 6th practice at the $26 rate? Okay. Okay. Well, so this board member agrees with Board Member Thrower in the capacity of, I don't want to see. It appears as if change was made with not a lot of notice, and so we can't really engage back and forth. Sorry, that's just kind of the way of the work. But it appears that there's been, first, as a board member, I don't ever love receiving information with not a lot of time to review it and be prepared, because I don't think it puts me in a proper position to make an informed decision. And so I would like for all of our nonprofits to continue to pay what they've been paying since whenever that is, and then this board can have a proper work session to discuss this fee schedule, and ahead of our fiscal year in July 1st, 2025, we can adopt a new fee schedule that will be very properly advertised. Proper grant funding can be applied for to potentially cover any increase in fees, all of those things. But I do not want to see this board, and I wasn't aware that there were other nonprofits who were seeing a change. I didn't know about any of this until we received the email at 4 o'clock today. So I would just like nothing to change for any nonprofit until there's proper time and advertisement for this board to have a public discussion about it. And then once we have that public discussion, there'll be opportunity for public comment on it, and we can engage in discourse, and we can make a decision about how we'll proceed. So that's, and I don't know if an MOU requires that, because clearly we've just been doing it without an MOU for the last however many years. So I don't know why we couldn't just keep doing that until we adopt a new fee schedule.
Reverend Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I too, Dr. Campbell was contacted by another nonprofit today about Howard Academy and the fee schedules that we're dealing with right now. What I see is that obviously there's some precedent that's been already set with the $16, and I agree that we too should freeze everything as far as the nonprofits right now. We can't make a decision on the fly based on something that was done in 2010, and we need to properly address all of the issues and come up with a reasonable amount for nonprofits. So I'm in agreement. I think we need to freeze the nonprofits, put this on a work session, superintendent, as soon as possible, and then we be ready to go for the fiscal year starting July 1.
Yes. Board Member Campbell.
I completely concur. My only comment is that I recommend that we freeze the nonprofit rate for those that have already been participating for many years with us under a certain schedule. But any brand new nonprofit that does not have a relationship with the school system
Certainly.
will be using this current schedule. And that would be the only recommendation that I would have. So we can't just say we're freezing it for all nonprofits, everybody pays $16 an hour. No, I would say if we've never had a relationship and there's something new coming, a new church that wants to start up, going to have to pay the rate that's been adopted in 2010.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Board Member Thrower.
Thank you. And again, I think that speaks to the incredible need to have it in writing, because we're already saying, but this. So I hope I've seen MOUs get created in good time. And let's start getting some things in writing, because that's what got us here in the first place.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dobbins?
Yes, I need a couple of clarifications. So first, I want to make sure that you understand that my office was simply just enforcing a board-approved document
Right.
since it arrived in our office. And we did seek advice on how we should handle this, and in absence of documentation, we followed the board-approved. I want to confirm that what I'm hearing is, based on today's conversation and consensus with the board, any not-for-profit organization that has previously done business with us in the last 3 years, 5 years, infinitely, will
3 years.
freeze.
3 years. That's why
I
it
can do
needs to be
3
in
years.
writing.
Right. So any
I mean, there should already be a record of those businesses that have already doing business. Hold on, that are already doing business with us, and we should have invoices, correct?
But they come and go. So they may rent something this year, but not next year. They may rent something consistently. So in other words, we could have a nonprofit show up with a rental agreement request tomorrow that hasn't done business with us in 4 years. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm clearly understanding the
Can we hear
request.
from Attorney Powers?
May I add that when we have
Are you muted?
I'm
You
sorry,
know.
I'm muted there. When we've had, some organizations have had MOUs in the past, some have not. Some have had discussions of MOUs that were never executed. From what I was able to find in research with Kingdom of the Sun, the prior administration had engaged in a discussion about reducing costs, and quite possibly Dr. Ham or the prior superintendent had allowed a cost to go forward without the board knowing or without it being approved at a specific rate, that it was just sort of a handshake deal. This is how it was being done. I was unable to note that there was any actual record of a MOU. There was discussion of an MOU. There was also discussion of how community funding could help to allow Kingdom of the Sun to continue. There was a number of factors that were discussed in a work session. I was unable to find any document that indicates that any of that was ever memorialized. However, it may not have been simply because in that case and others, people just went ahead and did things without there actually being a paper trail or a record or a documentation of it. And people only charged certain rates, and then people only had, it was people knew people, and they just made it work. Now, that doesn't speak well for standardizing, a fee schedule, because we don't really know exactly who should have been paying what over time. If they say, well, this other person had told me we get it at a lesser price because of factor X, and all those may be very good factors. So I can't speak to, from my perspective, if I'm looking at how to, what somebody's rate is, it would be based on an MOU that they had up for a period of time, whether that period MOU was good for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And upon expiration of the MOU, which is typically at most 3 years, then a new fee schedule would apply unless the MOU was reworked. So any organization for the future that wants to have an MOU that makes an exception to facility rentals fees would need to get with the facilities department or the department they're requesting that rental be through, and develop an MOU with them. That's not something we generate MOUs for them to sign off on, but that is something that they need to work on, whatever details there are, if there's any exceptions to be made. But in the meantime, whatever the board wishes to do, I'm just trying to give you a background and a history of what we were able to find based on what's there, what's in the board meetings, what's in public record.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Question.
Reverend Cummings.
So, Attorney Powers, so the record of them paying the $16 an hour, that doesn't set a precedent?
Well, setting a precedent doesn't, it does indicate that that's the way the parties had done business, yes.
Okay.
Setting a precedent that it doesn't have any value as to anybody being forced
not necessarily
to
a
do
legal
it,
precedent, but that they
sure.
have been paying that for a set amount of time.
It is good evidence that that was the way it had been done for some time, yes.
So to that point, from today until the board makes a new decision, I am of the opinion that anyone since 2010 and 2017, and when Greg Ham made the decision, and when somebody else made the decision, if their historical information that we have in our files says that they're paying this 16 or 12 or 14 or whatever number that was agreed upon, in my personal business background, the best next step would be to maintain that until we have a proper discussion otherwise. And if we've been doing it, I don't know why we need to go through the rigmarole of all of it. Let's just keep doing it the way we've been doing it. And as soon as the board has a discussion, we'll adopt a new schedule with proper publication and we'll move forward. But there's no way, I don't want to say 5 years, and maybe there's a nonprofit that has a bicentennial or whatever every 5 years event is, and so then they don't get to be captured. Like, I don't think that that's fair. If they came to some agreed amount and that's not on this schedule, then we should honor that amount until we properly publicate a new fee schedule.
Why don't we go back to the date that's effective?
Yeah, that's what I said.
2010 date.
Yes, Board Member Thrower.
I see the value of that, but I think it also needs to be able to be backed up with some kind of documentation. And if there isn't documentation, then the fee, it reverts to the current fee schedule.
I agree. I agree. So if there's documentation in our records that indicate that they've paid a rate that is different than the fee schedule historically, and they've never paid our fee schedule, then they get to keep paying that until we have proper discussion about it. That's what I would desire.
Concur.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Agreed.
All right. Ms. Dobbins, do you feel certain?
So understood, we're going to go back on whatever the last history was for them, and if there is no history, we'll base it off the fee schedule. One more clarification is, since they've already paid, can we go back to January 1 for anyone, Kingdom of the Sun or anyone else, if they've paid as of January 1 and it was different in the past, we reimburse them for that difference, but not prior to January 1, because then we're going back to files that have already been paid and cleared.
Why don't we just credit that difference
I'm
for
sorry,
the
sir.
next month?
They can just have a credit on their account for future use. I don't know why you have to refund all the money.
Yeah, just credit for the next
Yes,
month.
and that's typically what we do is
Yeah.
credit the
Okay,
amount.
good.
We're giving you
But
a
I
gift
wanted
card.
to set it back to January 1.
Okay.
I'd also, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, like to clarify that there was no altering of a non-Marion County document. The document referred to that was altered was our actual Marion County agreement where the wrong amount was written in by Kingdom of the Sun, and we simply edited to put the right amount. So moving forward, though, as of January 1, we'll go off whatever precedent was taken if they had done business with us before. If not, we'll meet the schedule. We'll credit any account since January 1, and we'll get new documents out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have already been in the process of researching other districts, and we have been in communication with an agency, a vendor, that also does a lot of business with almost half of our districts in Florida in basically providing a service for the rentals for facilities and districts that we're looking into as well. So more information on that.
And Ms.
Okay.
Dobbins,
Yes.
again, Dr. Campbell and I both heard today from another agency concerning Howard Academy, same situation.
Yes, we'll go back and look at those.
Thank you.
No problem, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dobbins. Thank you, all of you who came from Kingdom of the Sun. We appreciate you coming forward and sharing your concerns, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you. I think you have to wait to the end.
Right.
You got it on camera.
Yeah, just watch the YouTube. You have it in.
You got it on camera.
Watch the YouTube.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, board, we are going to move forward. Thank you for the great conversation. We're going to move forward to informational items. 9.1, the school district uses a construction management delivery method, included a guaranteed maximum price, to perform construction work on the following projects. To allow the district to purchase materials through the owner direct purchase process to save sales tax, the construction manager needs to return the funds to the owner via a deductive change order. The superintendent has signed and approved the change orders per board policy 6345. The superintendent is authorized to approve and execute any construction contract change order that will increase the construction contract by $25,000 or less, that will decrease the construction contract amount, provide that approval will be, in her judgment, in the best interest of the board. Such change orders will be binding upon execution by the superintendent. The superintendent shall report each change order that she approved to the board at the board meeting that follows her approval. The superintendent's approval on the change orders will be entered into the official minutes of the board meeting. Amendment number 1 to the construction manager contract, guaranteed maximum price for labor and materials related to construction of new 16 classroom addition at Liberty Middle School. Change order number 1, amendment number 1, project 24103. This purchase will allow the district to save approximately $28,162.62 in sales tax. Item 9.2, amendment number 3 to the construction manager contract, guaranteed maximum price for labor and materials consisting of interior construction related to construction of new elementary school X. Change order number 8, amendment number 3, project 24-102. This purchase will allow the district to save approximately $37,004.07 in sales tax. Ms. Martinez, do you have a note on there? We're missing a digit.
No, I do not.
Okay. I'm going to go with $37,004.07.
It should be $37,040
$40? Okay, which we're missing a zero. Thank you, Reverend Cummings.
and 7 cents.
And 7 cents in sales tax. Thank you. 9.3, Amendment Number 1 to the Construction Manager Contract, Guaranteed Maximum Price for Mass Grading, Early Equipment Procurement, and Building Foundations, Shell and Site Work related to the construction of new high school CCC Change Order Number 1, Amendment Number 1, Project 24-105. This purchase will allow the district to save $743,255 in sales tax. The total sales tax savings is $808,457.69. 9.4, construction of a security fencing system at Hammett Bowen Junior Elementary School, change order number 1, work authorization number 12, project 23-131. The unused funds are $113,885.66. Item 9.5, construction of a security fencing system at North Marion Middle School, change order number 1, work authorization number 13, project 23-131. The unused funds are $69,512.95. The total unused funds, $183,398.61. The School Board of Marion County has been selected for a second year as a 2024-2025 recipient of the Florida Partnership for Minority and Underrepresented Student Achievement Cost Reimbursement Sub-Award by Palm Beach State College, pass-through entity for the Florida Department of Education. The awarding agency. This grant aims to provide all students with access to rigorous academic coursework and the tools needed for success in these courses. By accepting this award, the district will receive reimbursements totaling $200,000 during the 2024-2025 school year to include the following selected students at all 7 high schools who are taking the American College Test, Classic Learning Test, or Advanced International Certificate of Education test that are being administered through June 30th, 2025, and reimbursement for registration fees for selected advanced placement and Cambridge ACE teachers to attend intensive subject-specific training outside of the district. Item 9.6, 2024-2025 school year, Palm Beach State College cost reimbursement, subrecipient award agreement. Board, this concludes the informational items for today's meeting. May I have a motion to approve consent items, agenda items C12.1 through C21.1, with the exception of items D24.1, D24.2, D24.3, D24.4, D24.5, D24.6, D24.7, and D24.8 that have been placed under discussion, regular agenda items, and item C11.1 that has been placed under discussion, pulled items. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, was that you, Board Member Thrower? Motion by Board Member Thrower, second by Reverend Cummings. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Board, we're going to move into student disciplinary matters. Before addressing expulsion matters, I wish to acknowledge that the board members have received the alternative placement list for students through December 6th, 2024. Ms. Martinez, are there any parents who have submitted a timely request to speak on their child's disciplinary matter?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 25-116, JD 25-119E, JD 25-121E, JD 25-133, JD 25-137, JD 25-139, JD 25-144E, with services for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarters of the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Thrower. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 25-117 with services for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarters in the 2025-2026 school year. May I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. James.
Chair.
Yes.
Due to my relationship with the family of this student, as well as additional knowledge of this case that's not presented in the board packet, I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
All right, thank you, Dr. Campbell. All right, anyone else? Okay,
I feel like I have a question about what information's not included in the packet.
something legal? Attorney Powers?
If there's information that's not included in the packet that this member is aware of, then that member should not share that other information with the rest of the board, or the rest of the board might also be in a position they would have to recuse.
And
So
maybe
if they have personal knowledge of any facts regarding the case that is not relevant to what's been brought forth to the board, and the parent hasn't challenged and the district has made a recommendation, then the board, based on the information it has already received, must make a decision.
if there's information that should have been in the packet that we received, how can we make a proper decision? So maybe this needs to be pulled off of here completely.
I was under the impression.
The
that-
only information that I have at this point is that this board member knows more factual information about this particular case than the rest of the board does. Not necessarily that's relevant to the board's consideration. It may or may not be. However, the board sometimes doesn't get to know personal knowledge of a particular case because otherwise they would have to recuse themselves, just as a judge would. A judge would be in the same position. If I have specific knowledge of an individual, then I would not be able to I would not be able to sit on in judgment of that individual or the facts or circumstances of it. In other words, if the question is,
I
what do you
understand what
know that
you're
I don't
saying.
know? Then she can't tell you because then you would know, and therefore you might be having to recuse as well if you had personal knowledge.
What I interpreted by what she said, though, was that there are facts related to the consequence that are absent from the packet. And maybe I read into what you said incorrectly.
heard
And
the
that's
same
okay,
thing.
too.
I think if she's going to recuse, then she should also, I would have to advise her not to further discuss. So if the board has reservations about what the board's being presented with,
Like
I
we
would
didn't.
ask Dr. Campbell to just remain silent if she's going to recuse herself, remain silent as to the facts or circumstances of the case, which the rest of the board should not hear. If she makes a determination that she would not be able to sit in fair judgment of the case based on her knowledge of the case. And that's the best I can tell you.
All right. Board, I feel like we will call the vote. We vote accordingly. All right. Oh, sorry. Board
Sorry.
Member Thrower.
This feels murky, and
Mhm.
I am wondering if it's the right decision to just go ahead and pull this based on information that may be forthcoming that would make a difference in terms of what gets handed down for this student. That is my concern.
Madam Chair, and if we are going to proceed with this, I will not be voting in favor of this if there's information that's possibly to make a determination of a different outcome. I agree.
Can we just place it under off-air remarks for the board to have a discussion about?
You can place it under off-air remarks. However, again, if a board member is going to recuse themselves, a board member should not participate in that voting. So therefore, it would have to be, I mean, at off-air remarks, the board may have questions for, to discuss with each other about the case or to discuss with discipline department, but not with an individual board member. They can't share information that you shouldn't know.
Okay.
Dr. Hembrook, if this student already being placed at MTI, will they stay there then until the board gets more information and can make a decision?
Well, it was, my understanding was what you're asking was to push it forward to an off-air portion of discussion tonight.
Sure,
I'm
that's
just
what I was
asking-
saying, but I think Chair
Yeah, I'm just
Conrad was
asking
saying
what
something
happens
different.
to the students' academic services during this time, why the board, whatever's,
I think what she's saying is if we moved it to the agenda in 2 weeks, would something change
Would
for
their
the
services
student?
continue?
And their services
That-
are going to continue
yes.
to be
I said.
provided at MTI, as they have been.
I'm going to believe that that's not going to be relevant in this case. But
What's not going to be relevant?
where the student's placement is.
Yes, because they're getting with services and they're already being served at MTI and awaiting their judgment. Is that correct? Yeah.
Shaking his head.
No.
No.
So
No what?
if we're getting into facts that we can't discuss on air, I can't give you more information on air because it involves a student record. So if you want, it's there. We're making it seem like it's a much bigger hide the ball game than it is, but I can't relate facts as to a particular case on air when it refers to a particular student or a particular case that could identify the student. So if you want to move this to an off-air portion at the end of these proceedings, we can, and I'll allow Mr. Blackman to try to fill in the gaps that he may be able to fill in for you.
Okay,
Let's move to off air.
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Attorney Powers, we have a motion, a second. We did not vote. Do I need to do anything else?
No.
Just, I can move on?
At this point, we'll table it until the
Okay.
end of the meeting at an off-air portion.
Okay, thank you very much.
And yes, that would be one of the few appropriate uses of
Of the,
tabling.
of the use of
Right.
tabling. Okay, thank you so much.
Give me the JD number again, though.
It is JD 25-117.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, who motioned in second, please, on that motion?
I'm-
To move it?
I'm
to
sorry?
table it? Who motioned in second to have it?
That
tabled?
was Reverend Cummings and Dr. James.
Well, we didn't actually have a motion to table it. So that was the motion and second to approve the item. We did not have a motion and second to table the item.
Correct.
Okay, good. Can I have a
I
motion
move that we
to,
table it.
motion by Reverend Cummings, second,
Second.
second by Dr. James. Okay, thank you, board.
Thank you.
For your flexibility there. Okay, moving down to D24.1. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 25-114 without services for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarters of the 2025-2026 school year? May I have a motion?
Madam
Chair, yeah,
can you read
right.
that again?
Right, I will make the motion, but I will make the motion as how has been changed in board docs and
Right.
not how the script is
Right.
reading. So approving the expulsion with off-campus virtual learning services for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarter of the 2025-2026 school year for the
I'll second
JD
that.
number that you said, and I,
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I thought this was updated, so I apologize.
Should be JD 25-114.
Yeah, it got updated on board docs, just not on the script.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd just like to reread it because it's
Yes,
a lot,
ma'am.
lot of back and forth, and this is new language that we just discussed at our work session last Thursday. So I am going to reread D24.1. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 25-114 with off-campus learning services for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarters of the 2025-2026 school year? May I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings. Second.
I'll second that as long as it's off-campus virtual learning services. That's missing from the script.
That's correct.
And just for the record, Ms. Martinez, can you share, when did you receive the updated language that is supposed to be reflected in today's meeting?
Later this afternoon.
It was
During our
3:38.
work
It was
session.
3:38.
Work session.
Yeah, it was
No, we talked about it in the work session, but no one wrote out what was expected to be in the
The
script
language.
to our clerk until late this afternoon.
Correct.
So no direction came to her in an explicit fashion about changing. So I wanted to make sure that was reflected on the record.
Correct.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion?
I will share. So, we've changed the language in the item to reflect our discussion from last Thursday, which is off-campus virtual learning services. I would just like someone from staff to recap what the next 3 students we're discussing have not been on campus. Is that a correct statement? They have not been receiving their instruction on campus. They have been essentially receiving an out-of-school suspension and picking up packets of work. That's the way I understand our nature of work up to today, has been for students who were pending an expulsion without services. So now that we have changed their academic program to be a expulsion with off-campus virtual learning, can someone, for the record, reflect what will happen tomorrow?
Dr. Hembrook.
Someone from staff?
Madam Chair, would you like Dr. Hembrook to come forward?
Yes, please.
And while she's doing that, I just need to provide clarification. At the work session on Thursday, it was confirmed by my staff that Attorney Powers indicated he would follow up with the board clerk on language based on what the board direction was from Thursday last week. So that is why Dr. Hembrook helped today, but just for clarification on air at the meeting, Attorney Powers indicated he would follow up with the board clerk to be sure the language is updated in the board docs.
And our board clerk did not get information until today, correct?
This afternoon.
It was a community effort this afternoon trying to get some things finished up. From my position, I happened to be in on that conversation, and so it was late in the day, but everybody was putting their best effort in to get it done before our meeting this afternoon. When I finally made some phone calls to try to get some resolution, everybody jumped in to make it happen. So sorry that it didn't make it all the way to the script, but it is hard when we're closing up shop at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and the information's just coming in. So with that, Dr. Hembrook, if you'll give us kind of a summary of what we're doing moving forward so the public is aware in case they didn't see the work session on Thursday. Thank you.
Right, absolutely. So these particular students that we're talking about tonight, the 3 that will be off-campus virtual learning services, we will contact those families tomorrow, ensure that they're getting enrolled in that Edgenuity, and then have the information that they need to log on and begin access.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you for helping today, Dr. Hembrook.
Yes, thank you. Okay, any other conversation or questions from the board?
And Madam Chair, the next few are the same, so that language is different on your script, but it's the same on board doc.
Okay,
So you say the same thing.
all right, thank you. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 25114 with off-campus learning services for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarter of the 2025-2026 school year? May I have a motion?
I'm sorry, didn't we just do 114?
We did 114, now we're on 124.
It's a 120.
Oh, you just said 114 though. I thought I heard you say
said
114.
124,
Okay,
124.
I'm just trying to follow along.
Me too. May I have any discussion?
Oh, we haven't had a motion.
Oh, sorry.
So move.
Sorry, I looked above after I was checking the number for Dr. James. May I have a motion? Reverend
So
Cummings,
moved.
was that you? Thank you very much. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Thrower.
Chair.
Yes.
In discussion, based on my review of this packet, I believe this specific case does not warrant off-campus virtual expulsion. I believe that on-campus expulsion would suffice. So I'll be voting against this as it's been presented.
I would agree, and I'd like to offer an amended motion. So I know we have to vote on the motion on the table, correct? Or can I amend the motion?
You can make the amendment to the motion.
Okay, well, I would make an amended motion to, and it can, if it gets a second, I guess we can discuss it, but I would offer an amended motion for expulsion with services for the remainder of the 24-25 school year and the first and second quarter of the 25-26 school year.
Second.
Okay. So the amended motion was by Dr. James. The second was by Dr. Campbell. Any other discussion?
Does anyone want to offer thoughts on the amended motion? My personal reason for the change was that, and we had this discussion publicly last Thursday, but I do believe there's a difference between practicing entrepreneurial skills in our schools and possession of a singular vape.
Second the amended motion.
Well, Dr. Campbell
Sorry,
already
second,
seconded
yeah.
it, so.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I concur based on board precedent that we've discussed on air and off air related to drug offenses. I believe this one should be an expulsion on campus. Receive services.
Okay. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes 4. All right, may I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 25138 with off-campus learning services for the remainder of 2024-2025 school year and the first and second quarters of the 2025-2026 school year? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dr. James. Second
Second.
by Dr. Campbell. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0.
I just have a quick comment about these packets for the next meeting, if it's okay, if I offer
Sure,
it
go
right
ahead,
now?
Dr. James.
Just briefly. I know that because we made this change last Thursday, obviously the packets the families had received did not reflect the changes that we had made in public discussion. For the next board meeting, those packets will also not reflect the changes. Would that be a correct statement? So the board meeting in 2 weeks, the expulsion packets that we will see as a board, will they reflect our former language or our now adopted new language?
Dr. Hembrook?
Anyone?
She and I are making eye contact. I'm trying to decipher.
Because we had already created that first letter that said if there's any that are no academic services, that letter will still be in there, but we've done an amended letter. So you'll see 2 letters in those
what's
packets.
uploaded?
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as, we're working on that, and as soon as that's ready for yes.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure was what the board packet that's uploaded is gonna show the corrected off-campus virtual learning or on-campus, whatever. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the Utilize Agreement 24-612P-WH between the School Board of Brevard County, Florida, RSM, US, LLP for internal auditing services? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Thrower. Dr. Gullett, do you have any information you'd like to share regarding this item?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ms. Boston Ellis is going to come forward. As you may recall, you have an internal auditor, and this process began some years ago. The cost of this item is $675,000, and Ms. Boston Ellis will update you on process and what this provides to you as a board. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Boston Ellis.
Board Chair, Mrs. Conrad, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Gullett. You may recall Florida statute requires that school districts receiving annual federal, state, and local funds in excess of $500 million that we have to employ an internal auditor. This is in addition to our current 3-year cycle where the state auditors, the Auditor General comes in, does a financial audit as well as operational. And then the other 2 years, we have to hire an outside auditor. So this is in addition to that. The scope of the internal audit shall not be restricted and shall include every functional and program area of our school system. The Department of Education has rules that school districts may hire a CPA firm to perform the internal audit services. Today, the Business Services Department is requesting your permission to utilize the School Board of Brevard County's contract, which will provide internal auditing services that are required by the law. As Dr. Gullett stated, the total estimated expenditure is $675,000, and it covers 3 years. The 24-25 year will be $245,000. The 2025-26 year, $215,000, and the 2026-2027 year will be $215,000 as well. The estimated cost is based on the scope of work that RSM provided to us. So again, our recommended action is for the school board to approve the use of this contract for internal auditing services. You may remember in 22-23, they were introduced to you, RSM was, and there were 3 areas chosen: timekeeping, stimulus money, and data protection under the heading of technology. Various recommendations were recommended to us to improve our systems, and some of them have been implemented, and we are still in the stages of creating the documents that they feel we should have. So we're still in progress on those. For the 23-24 year and the current year, these areas are being audited: purchasing and procurement compliance, recruiting and onboarding, and again, a technology area, cybersecurity. Reports to you will be forthcoming in the next few months on those areas, and I will be happy to address any concerns or questions that you may have in regards to this item.
Thank you, Ms. Boston Ellis. Board, any comments or concerns? Yes.
Thank
Board
you,
Member
Chair.
Thorne.
Yes, I'll just say that as just having been chair, working with RSM has really been a pleasure, and it's a source of comfort to me as a school board member to have a company of their caliber, advising us on the areas that we have decided are of the priority, and then as we go along. So just wanted to give them their thanks.
Thank you. All right, Board Member Thrower, anyone else? Okay, Board, I did have some concerns with this contract. If you go to page 155, and what caught my eye is the hourly rate. And in my mind, I was remembering that we are capped at what we hire out for our attorneys for outside counsel. And so these hourly rates were a little bit shocking to me. And so in further conversation, I learned that there is board policy that could come forward. We do not have it. We did not adopt it in Marion County. But there is board policy that limits this hourly rate for hiring for outside audits. And I just wanted to share with you, this board member is interested in looking at that, bringing it forward for discussion to make sure that we stay in line with what we're paying for these outside services. I would be interested to know what other companies are charging. $325 an hour is a lot of money and almost double what we pay outside counsel to assist us with legal items. And so I just wanted to bring that forward and see what other board members felt like, if there was any other concern in this area to move forward, or if not, that's the end of the discussion. But I just, again, it's on page 155 if you want to take a look at it, and I'm welcoming any comments. Yes, Dr. James.
If I'm remembering correctly, my understanding is that historically, if it's a niche trade, we have flexibility, or I'm not sure, I don't have the policy handy, but I'm trying to remember, like if it's a lawyer that serves in a specific capacity, then we have flexibility. No.
No.
175.
Okay.
Or what about specialty counsel?
Dr. Campbell, do you have a memory of what I'm trying to think about? Because sometimes we remember things similarly.
I do, but
Okay.
here's my question. So apart from that, my question is sort of a question, sort of a comment. This is a piggyback contract, so we are aware that at least one other school district is using this rate. So my question would be, how many other school districts are using this same piggyback? Because then that would set a level of precedence that I would be comfortable with.
I don't know how many other districts are using that. What I can tell you is that what we pay outside counsel, the flexibility is not present. We have a $175 cap. However, that's with counsel. Consultants, we as the board did not adopt anything to limit the cost of a consultant. So you can look at the fact that at least one other district, possibly more, are paying the amount that is listed here for their services at that rate, and you can determine that you want to pay the same amount, whether that amount is $1, $500, or $1,000 per hour. It doesn't matter. The board is free to adopt because we don't have the same limiting structure as to outside consultants. So the board can be presented with policy recommendations that will allow the board to control the amount that it wishes to expend on its auditor or its outside counsel, and increase or decrease those amounts as it sees fit. But you're not limited. In this contract, you may certainly, under policy, vote on it today and vote exactly as it is. The expression was that there's some concern that the rates are perhaps high, and if that's the case, the board always has the option to request that it be, put to a bid with other, for a request for proposal with others as well. But certainly, at least some districts are using it at this rate.
So if I may, the recollection I'm having, I think that Dr. James is referencing, would have been perhaps back when we were having impact fee conversations and we had a specialized attorney that was helping us negotiate some things, or someone who had land use kinds of experience and expertise. And at that time, we weren't paying more than the $175 an hour for that outside counsel support.
I don't believe so. At the time, I believe our board policy drew a distinction between specialized support and not. I don't believe it still does.
Okay.
Again, it's irrelevant for this purpose because
Certainly.
it's not counsel.
But I think
it's
that's
consultant.
what both of us potentially are remembering, because there were some specifications we had within policy that we could, in extenuating circumstances,
Yeah.
have
I
additional
concur.
funds.
And I think it was the cell phone towers. Good Lord.
That was another one.
That was another one. So, but anyway, I'm sorry. Sure.
Yes, Board Member Thrower.
For the purpose of this conversation, I would propose going ahead and voting, but I like where you're going with this, that you noticed that, and that it never hurts to do a little comparison around what other districts are paying for similar services for auditors. I will stand on my comment that the RSM has been very, very good to work with. I hope that's been your experience too, and if not, I guess I'll have to do some learning.
She's just smiling.
It's a lot of work.
I don't know.
They're very professional,
Thorough.
if that's what you're talking about, and
Yeah,
very
and
thorough.
Yeah.
Right. But this is an area that staff it's brand new to staff. So I think what happened is we were going through the AG audit at the same time as the internal audit,
Yes.
at the same time as the performance audit for
Yeah.
the
Of the
sales
year.
tax.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm going. So
Yes,
it
I
was
do.
taxing to our staff.
100%.
Yeah, not just finance, but technology, facilities, but they are very thorough.
Okay. All right. Reverend Cummings, any thoughts?
Let's call the vote.
Okay, calling the vote. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay? Nay? Motion passes 4-1. All right, may I have a motion
you.
to approve the guaranteed maximum price for roof replacement of Building 1, 14, 16, 17, and 19 at Vanguard High School, Project 24-127. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. James. Dr. Gullett, do you have information you'd like to share with us regarding this item?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is a very large dollar amount, approximately $2.47 million. And Ms. Boombach is here with us again tonight she's coming to the podium this time, and is going to share some context with the number of buildings that are needed for the roof replacement at Vanguard and their age. Thank you.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Chair Conrad, Vice Chair Cummings, Dr. Gullett. I'm excited to bring you another roof project. The current roof system at Vanguard High School, we're going to replace buildings 1, 8, 14, 16, 17, and 19. They range all between 23 and 25 years of age, and they have outlived their projected lifespan, and they do need replacement. There are several different roof systems, just like I explained last time with Lakeview High School, so many different roofs and buildings. We have a coal tar roof system over a lightweight concrete deck. We have shingles over plywood. We have modified bitumen over perlite. At buildings 1, 8, and 14, all the material that is there that includes also the insulation has to be removed all the way to the decking. At building 1 and 8, we will replace it with new insulation and a modified bitumen membrane over a coverboard. Building 14 will receive a metal panel system. At buildings 16, 17, and 19, a new roof will be installed over the existing roof. We will add insulation as it is required by code, but going over the existing roof will save us some money. Some mechanical equipment will also be needed to be lifted so we can get to the curbs and we can wrap the curbs. Code also has changed that the curb heights increased, so if the existing curbs don't fall within that height, they also need to be replaced. That's why you see a line item in there for HVAC and electrical costs. We are including a 20-year manufacturer warranty, and construction is slated to start March 4th with a substantial completion date on June 10th.
Thank you, Ms. Boombach.
My
We
summary.
appreciate you. Yes. Board, are there any questions or concerns? Okay.
Just one comment, that's a lot of different roofing material
Yes, it
cobbled
is.
together over quite a number of years. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Do I have a motion to approve the guaranteed maximum price for brick remediation at Westport High School, Project 24-111?
So
May-
move.
Reverend
sorry.
Cummings, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Dr. Gullett, you have information you'd like to share on this item?
Yes, thank you, board. As you can see, Ms. Boombach has not left the podium, and she can do a better job than I can of providing the details. This is about the brick remediation at a cost of about $935,000. So I'll turn that over to Ms. Boombach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last board session, I brought to you the phase 1 of that project. As you know, Westport High School had some extensive water intrusion from the roof during the heavy rain events. We performed a study to locate the areas where the water enters the building. We established a mitigation plan to correct the issue. This is phase 2 of the mitigation work. Brick pointing and flashing from the original construction has dilapidated in multiple areas, which is causing the water intrusion. Additional deterioration of the flashing along the termination bar over time has allowed water intrusion, causing erosion to the mortar joints and clogging the cell vents. This work will include removing and replacing all of the damaged brick to include a new stainless steel drip edge, termination bar, flashing, cell vents, and mortar traps. It is a very labor-intensive scope since the existing brick will have to be removed in small sections. We don't want all the rest of the brick to fall down. The remaining brick also will need to be supported with an angle iron during the repair work. That's why the dollar amount is quite high. We were looking for a very skilled mason to be able to do that work. The project will start on February 10th, and substantial completion is slated for May 2nd. This work will be done during regular work hours, and we will coordinate with the school on special testing days that we don't interrupt school operations.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boombach. Board, is there any discussion or questions? None? Okay, I'll just say I've been out at Westport. I think we've talked about this a couple different times, and they've had a hard time finding how that leak was getting in, and so it's a very tricky situation. Yes, it stumped us for a while. All right, Board, since I don't see any discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the amendment to agreement for purchase and sale of real estate and buyer's petition for release of reserved mineral rights and School Board Resolution 25-01? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. James. Attorney Powers, do you have any information you'd like to share on this item?
I do. You have been previously introduced to our outside counsel, John McGraw and Alexander Scales. This is an amendment to the agreement for the vacant land sale. The purchase agreement for the vacant land sale needed to be amended to revise the warranty deed and title policy restrictions and to release the mineral rights as requested by the buyer. Once the amendment and petition resolution is approved tonight, I would recommend the board take a brief recess so the board chair can execute the closing documents. And I'll allow Mr. McGraw to pick it up from there.
Right. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Exactly as Mr. Power stated, we've got a buyer who's asking to have the mineral rights released. We don't think that's a big issue at all, and in exchange for doing so, they've agreed to pay the documentary stamp taxes on the transfer, which I think is around $780. So we think that's a nice give and take on this one, and it just will prevent him from having problems moving forward in the future on any development he does now that he has the mineral rights if the board approves. So that's what we're looking at here on this change.
Okay, thank you. Board, are there any questions or concerns? Yes, Board Member Thor?
If our attorney thinks it's a good idea, because
I approve. Florida has a law that requires that the districts can retain, I shouldn't say requires, it allows districts or governmental agencies to retain their mineral rights on properties. If we were in Texas, that might mean something quite a bit more. Here, I think they can have the limestone with the lot. So I'm confident that this is the right way to do business.
thank you, Attorney Powers. It doesn't sound like anyone's going to be wildcatting this property.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. No fracking over here, I don't think.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0.
So now we recess.
Well, we do have one other item that Mr. McGraw
Yes.
is here for tonight. So if we can if we're going to take a recess, take it right after that.
Okay,
We'll allow him to continue on with that one.
okay, terrific.
Okay?
All right, may I have a motion to approve the central warehouse listing agreement?
So move.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. James. Attorney Powers, you have some information for us regarding this item?
Yes, ma'am. As to the approval of the central warehouse listing agreement, the expectations of this item being on the board's agenda for tonight was to have the board select a listing agent. Once the board has selected a listing agent, Attorney McGraw will negotiate the terms of the listing agreement in the best interest of the district. To avoid further delaying the sale of the central warehouse, the board would need to give consensus to have the board chair sign the negotiated listing agreement. Alternatively, it would be brought back before the board for the full board's review again after it's done. My recommendation would be that once you've selected a listing agent, allow Mr. McGraw to work with that listing agent on the price and to do whatever details need to be finalized to finalize the contract. The primary consideration for tonight would be selecting the listing agent based on the information you've received in their packets, which is the primarily to do with their rate, their reimbursement rate. So I'll allow Mr. McGraw to pick it up from there.
All right.
Thank you, Attorney Powers. So initially, when we came on, the instruction appeared to provide me with the authority to go and obtain a real estate agent to list the central warehouse building. We put the bid out to 3 agents in town. 2 of the 3 knew each other and then basically came to me and said, hey, we know we're putting the bids in. We think the school board would get the benefit, the biggest benefit, if we put ours together. And so they submitted their joint listing agreement together, and Alex and myself went through and redlined and made the listing agreement the most advantageous and beneficial for the school board. And so that's what was previously submitted. Since then, we've been requested to go and obtain additional listing offers. And so we've done that. Now, the listing offers that you have and that you're looking at, we have not gone through to do an extensive red line on those agreements. So as Attorney Powers was saying, it's going to be basically just the amount that that agent would charge for listing is what we have to compare. And so Alex has a quick little cheat sheet with what each of the realtors have proposed, and then we can talk about all of those. If you have any questions, there's some distinctions on whether they're offering a commission to the buyer side or whether they're not offering to the buyer side. And so I think we need to talk about those. If you have any questions, we'll be free to answer those questions after Alex gives her little synopsis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGraw. As Mr. McGraw said, we have 6 listing agreements before you. So I'm going to run down the list. The first one is Sandon Weechens with Weechens Realty. He is proposing a 5% commission with a 2.5 split between the buyer's broker. He has no termination fee in the event that the listing agreement is terminated, and there is a 50% retained deposit. The second one is that joint listing agreement with Weechens and Boyd Realty. This is the one that we have gone through and redline. It does have a listing price of $1,995. That was based off of the 2 brokers looking at the property and determining based off of the appraisal, the price that they felt was fair to list the property at. Their commission would be 4% with a 2% split to the buyer's broker. There is no termination fee. There is a 50% retained deposit. They have a 1% commission that will be paid if a prior bidder from our closed bid process becomes a purchaser. So we would have to supply them with the names of those bidders. Our third listing agreement is from Nolan Galloway. He proposed a 5% commission with a 2.5 split to the buyer's broker. His termination fee was $750 with, again, the 50% retained deposit. Van Aken's listing agreement gave a 2.45%, but he did not mention compensating the buyer's broker. He has a 25% retained deposit and no termination fee. Foxfire Realty with Bobby Matthews as the broker was 4.5%. Commission gross with a $298 fee that must be paid by the owner. There's a 2.25 split between the brokers, and should the school board transfer the property for a nominal amount, the school board shall pay a $500 to the broker at the time of transfer. If leased, broker will receive $2,000. There's a 50% retained deposit, and the termination fee is $500. The final listing agreement before you is from EVM Total Real Estate. They propose a 4% broker's fee with a 2% split to the buyer's broker. There's a $500 termination fee and a 50% deposit retained.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
And the distinction between the agents that are giving you a flat fee for their services versus putting one together is they recently came out with an NAR settlement, whereas the real estate agents cannot offer a commission to another agent. And so you can enter into a contract with the agent and agree that you will pay 4%, which would be split 2 and 2. And so you're making accommodations for a buyer's realtor coming on. They wouldn't necessarily be able to list it on the MLS, but they have other ways to list it and to advertise. And that is that dangle the carrot for the buyer's agent so that you have a bigger pool of buyers. If you're not offering anything to the buyer would have to pay the buyer's own realtor, and it may chill additional buyers from coming in if they know they have to pay, or their offer could be reduced based on the fact that they will be paying their own realtor a commission.
Sure. I
Yes.
just have a, Mr. McGraw, could you share what you think would be in the best interest of the board? Which of those would be in the best interest of the board, in your professional opinion?
Yeah, so I believe that the realtors who have submitted these listing agreements are all quality real estate agents, and I think they would all do a good job. I think it's going to boil down to pricing as the biggest factor. I think the pricing is a major factor. Initially, when I was engaged to go and hire a realtor, at that time, the best of both worlds seemed to be the Aaron Friel, Sandon Weechen's listing. Just because it was when Sandon had applied and put his offer in for 5%, when he came on board with Aaron Friel and they decided to submit a joint, it came in at Aaron's initial bid, which was 4%. So it was a 1% savings off the top. And you have two agents basically working and doing the job for you, which seems that you could cast a wider net. And Sandon's got a pretty good track record on commercial dealings in Marion County, in Ocala. But again, I like everyone on this list. If this is purely a money-motivated decision-making process, then I would say go down and go to the person who has the lowest one, and that might be your winner, right? But you've also got to understand, if you do take that one, that appears to be Van Aken, because he's not paying a buyer's agent anything, right? His is for 2.45% for himself with nothing for a buyer's agent. So he will list the property, but there's nothing there to entice a buyer's agent to come and show the property.
And after that one, what would be the next lowest?
So the next lowest one would be the joint listing agreement, and the reason I'm stating that is because EVM also has a 4% purchase price, right? But they have a termination fee of $500 versus the joint listing agreement does not have a termination fee, okay?
And the only thing with the joint listing agreement that I would want to see changed, which I've had the same thought since the beginning but didn't have an opportunity to share it the last time this came up, I don't want to pay 1% commission for an offer that, for someone who previously offered on the property. So I'd be interested in maybe paying 1% for the difference in price. So the highest bid we got prior was 1.4, I believe. So if they offered 1.7, then maybe I would consider paying 1% on the 300,000 difference. But I do not think we should pay 1% on 1.7 because that's not, they didn't bring that new person in. That person was still there. So that's just my thought, board, that that would be something that I would want to see changed if the board would be agreeable to that on that particular listing agreement.
Yes, Board Member, Dr. Campbell.
Sure, thank you. My question about the joint offer was also going to be on the 1% commission. So was the intent that that there wouldn't be the 4% going to either, it would just be the flat 1% on the total purchase price? Like that's the intent of what that caveat is in additional terms, or?
Yeah, the way I interpreted that caveat was it was a 1% period.
Okay.
On someone who had previously brought a deal to the table, just so they would get something for their time. The agents would get something for their time.
Sure. So that's apart from, there's not going to be a buyer agent commission. There's not going to be a seller agent commission. It's just a 1%. And that essentially is going to the person, the listing agent.
It would go to the listing agent, and if the listing agent wanted to
Share
with
it.
the buyer's agent, they certainly could.
Right. Well, I actually concur with Dr. James. I'm not comfortable with paying a 1% commission on the entire sale price because we already know what we have. I mean, we already know what the 1.4 looks like, and if there was additional overage and so it came in at 2 or whatever, then paying the 1% on the overage, okay, but I'm not okay with paying a 1% commission on whatever the sale price ends up being just because.
May I? May I?
Yes. Attorney Powers.
So what my question for you then, Mr. McGraw, would be is that, I mean, the primary purpose for us tonight is to select a listing agent. Secondarily would be also, you know, having Mr. McGraw, giving Mr. McGraw enough guidance to go back and negotiate or request any terms that the board has seen that it wishes to have altered. So what I would like to be able to do is reflect to Mr. McGraw, or have Mr. McGraw reflect to the board to some degree what he thinks the likelihood of being able to negotiate such terms or what options there might be. I mean, in his professional experience, he can probably tell you, well, they're probably going to stick firm on this, or they, you know, there's another alternative or another route. But otherwise, we're going to have to do this again. So, so I just ask for his input as to that request, as to whether he thinks that's a reasonable request and whether it's likely to be, or if there's another alternative that he believes is likely to make them interested.
Yeah, and so what I would say to that is these real estate agents are going to put a marketing campaign on and a marketing blitz. They're going to take professional photographs. They're going to put up signs. They're going to start trying to reach to a broader audience of not just necessarily downtown Ocala, but all of their client contacts. And so they're going to spend money in doing so. In the event that someone who has previously made an offer comes in and comes up with an offer that's going to be acceptable to the board, they will have expenditures. And so if we take that off completely, the real estate agents may wind up with nothing, and the board actually sees a nice increase based on marketing efforts. The ability for clients to look at the property, to come and walk through the professional photographs, professional videos, anything marketing money they're spending. So I think there needs to be some incentive there for the real estate agents, so they're just not left holding the bag if someone makes a higher offer that was on the table when we did our restricted bid. So I would think that you want to pay them something.
Okay.
I don't know if 1% is too great. I don't know if we want to talk about going and just saying anything over what their prior bid was, then you get paid on that. And we could still pay, instead of 1%, we could still pay 3% or 4%.
I mean, I'd be comfortable with this, the 4% agreed upon amount, anything over their previous offer. I don't want to pay for, no work was done to get them to 1.4, and we're just talking about that because that was the highest offer. But theoretically, anyone, there was 5 different, however many were, so theoretically any of them could come back. But I would be comfortable with the 4% over the difference of what they previously offered. I just don't want to necessarily pay for the work that was not captured in getting the original bid.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So would that be something the board would agree to, for the chair to work with Mr. McGraw? Because that's essentially what we're doing, right? Is we're coming up with some terms and allowing the chair and Mr. McGraw to make decisions.
Yes, Board Member Thrower.
I just have a couple of clarifying questions. Obviously, this list that you gave us are folks that want the business and are going to do all they can to sell it, and they know how to sell things. So I think that it's a pretty level playing field as far as that goes from my eyes. One thing I was noticing was that not all of them had a price on it. And is that because some time has gone by now and maybe it's going to be worth a little more? I was wondering why.
So to answer that question, when I was seeking listing agreements from these folks, it was, we were mostly going to be driven on going to be charging, and it's not necessarily where that price is going to be set.
Mr. McGraw, can you
pull your
make,
mic over?
make sure to pull the mic
Thank
over
you.
there?
It's not going to be necessarily where the real estate agent sets the price.
Mhm.
It's going to be where we tell them we want the price as the board. We are going to listen to their suggestions, and so the one joint was a suggestion by them. We could always change that number. That number that was included on there can always be changed. And so I just, instead of wasting anybody's time of going through and trying to analyze what they thought the property would be worth, it was, please get your listing agreement to me with your commissions so that we can take a look at this based on just a dollar figure of what you would charge. And we can kind of cross that bridge later for the value.
Understood, thank you. And so it makes me wonder about, you mentioned EVM. They have the lowest commission price, but yet that $500, I think it was for termination. Well, that's not really very much money. But then you also mentioned something about the buyer, that the buyer's agent would then have to come up with the commission because there wouldn't be anything going to the buyer. Is that correct?
Well, no. So if EVM is a 4%, it was a 2% split to the buyer and a 2% split to them, and that actually matched the joint listing with Weechens and Aaron Frill. They were also going to do 4% with a 2 and 2. Okay. Now the difference there was that 1% that they were going to have on there. So Ernie's would actually, the EVM would actually pay 4% on any deal, even somebody that has previously submitted an offer. Okay. Whereas the joint listing, the 4% wouldn't be paid if it was a previously submitted offer.
Right.
It would only be 1%.
So maybe I was thinking about Van Aken. There was one that you mentioned.
Van Aken was 2.45%, and that was it. And that would offer nothing to the buyer's agent at all.
Which is interesting because, they're in the business to sell properties, so you would think that, just interesting.
Yeah, well, interesting. I mean, try to get your foot in the door and have a low commission. It's not a bad move to put the 245 on there. It's just a question of, can you generate active buyers that want to come in? But with this whole NAR settlement, most buyers' agents are having buyers sign off on contracts before they'll even go show the property. And it basically says that if the seller is not willing to pay my commission, you, the buyer, will pay my commission. And so that could affect pricing and offers that come in if a buyer knows they have to pay 3% of their own money to their agent.
Okay. Anything else, board?
We need to make a decision.
Okay. Attorney Powers, is it possible for the board to select a first choice and a second choice? So if we don't come to an agreement and something can't be worked out, then we don't have to bring it back to the board. We'll have something, a backup.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I will say, my understanding, though, is, and this was something that I wanted to make sure the board is aware of, Mr. McGraw, is the 1%, the one that gives us a reduction for if it's someone who's previously bid, only one of these has that?
That's correct.
Okay, so any of the others we select, we will be paying. Now, 1% of at the 1.4 million is what, 14,000? So, right. So we'd be paying 14,000 in that case. Any other, we'd be paying 28 or 32 or
minimum of 2.45%.
Right. Okay. So, if that is not an area that is to be negotiated, if it can't be negotiated, then we can move to the second. But I'll need some clear criteria from the board as to what degree the board is comfortable continuing to leave it in the hands of Attorney McGraw and the board chair and myself, or does the board want a final approval process again to bring it back? Because this is normally something that just, the legal department would handle for you. But if the board wants to have the ongoing involvement, I need criteria to know when that's acceptable. So yes, you may choose one with a second backup, and you may then allow that to be within the discretion of your attorney and the board chair and outside counsel. But that's going to be, I just want the criteria that you want used.
Okay, Board Member Campbell.
Chair, in light of the conversation that we've had extensively on this so far, and understanding that all 5 of the other offers would require us to pay the full commission if we do have a previous buyer come to us, I recommend that we move forward with the joint agreement that is before us and leave it in the hands of the chair and our attorneys. If they are able to negotiate down, terrific. If not, then we can still land on that 1%, understanding that is still less than everybody else is offering us. So I'm comfortable with the joint agreement that we have before us.
I concur.
I concur.
Okay. Reverend Cummings?
Concur.
Okay, sorry, I think you might have spoken, I missed you. Board Member Thrower?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. McGraw, I think you have consensus.
Very good.
And Mr.
Thank
McGraw,
you.
that means that I'm not going to be haranguing you quite as much as I have you and Alexandra. So I appreciate it so much. So
No, thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and if we're concluded with that, and we have board consensus, but now the board would actually be voting on the listing. So once that's concluded, I'll ask for us to go into a recess.
We're
Okay.
voting on not the listing agreement.
joint
We're
listing.
voting on
On the listing
listing
agent.
agent.
Correct.
Selection. Mhm. All right.
Who was our original motion?
Our original motion was
Now-
Reverend Cummings and then second by Dr. James.
Because we had a motion and a second on the table for us to have that discussion.
Right. Motion and second to select a listing agent. And
Right.
now we will need a motion and second to select. You've selected a listing agent. Now you need to, you've
So we need
You
a
need
new
to vote
Can
on
I
motion.
that
make an
listing.
amended motion to approve the joint listing agreement as
Second.
presented by Mr. McGraw?
there you go.
Thank you, Dr. James. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Reverend Cummings. Thank you. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay. We want to go into a brief recess.
Yes,
Can we-
please.
Just because there are people waiting, is this going to be 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes or so. I mean, you give everyone a restroom break long enough for us to sign some closing documents.
I just would like to be, it's already after 8 o'clock. so I'd
Right.
like to be-
Okay.
Or we can,
Confirm.
or we
Board-
can hold to the end, whatever you
Thank
prefer.
you. Can we go to the end?
But yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
let's keep going. I don't
Okay.
think.
Okay. All right. All right, board, we're going to discussion pulled agenda items. May I have a motion to approve the First Amendment with cut different? May I have a motion?
So
Motion to
move.
approve.
Thank you, Board Member Thrower,
Second.
second by Reverend Cummings. Dr. Campbell, you pulled this item to have further discussion.
I did, thank you, Chair. Under the existing agreement, Cut Different mentors 82 students weekly for $220,000. This amendment adds another $42,000. And because even federal grants are taxpayer dollars, I believe there are other ways these schools could utilize that $21,000 this semester that could impact more than just the 12 students per campus. And so for that reason, I'm voting no on this contract.
Okay, board, is there any further discussion?
Call the vote.
Board Member Thrower, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, sorry, my head was turned the other way as I was looking for acknowledgements. All right, if there's no further discussion, we'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion passes 4-1. All right, we're going to move forward to board committee reports and concerns. Board, I have a couple dates for you. There's an ICROC, Independent Citizens Referendum Oversight Committee meeting scheduled for January 23rd, 2025 at 4 p.m. The meeting will be held here at the Board of County Commissioners Auditorium. The next administrative briefing and work session is scheduled for January 23rd, 2025 at 9 a.m. During the month of January, all board meetings and work sessions will be held here at the Board of County Commissioners Auditorium. The next school board meeting is scheduled for January 28th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. We'll now take board comments and concerns. Ms. Martinez. Thank you. Attorney Powers.
Nothing further from legal. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Gullett.
Thank you. I'll be brief because a big part of mine was going to be Ms. Dobbins sharing and updating the board what I've learned about just recently about the facility and the fee schedule. So thank you for that. And to tag on to that, board, if I could just get confirmation, that was going to be one of my requests for a work session, to do a work session on that. So we'll add that to the list to bring that back to you. But I also have two others, as I understand from a board member request from recent weeks. One is the rezoning of the zones for board members for representation. Board wants a work session on that?
No.
No.
That was the recommendation based on our prior conversation and the documentation I brought forth showing when we add new schools, we're going to continue piling them on into one district as opposed to us having conversation about the schools we represent.
I'm just not sure any other board member wants to have the conversation.
Yeah, unless I'm mistaken, is there anybody that was interested in furthering that conversation?
Okay.
And I wasn't at that in that meeting, and this has come up several times, and we get the same outcome. So I don't know why we keep bringing it up. So I'm not interested in that conversation.
Okay, Board Member Thrower.
Before we get into board member comments, were we going to be coming back to the one off-air portion?
Yeah, we're not even in board member
Yeah,
comments
we're in
yet.
Dr. Gullett's.
Okay.
That was in the back of my mind.
I'm sorry,
too,
when
'cause
you said
it's-
Dr. Thrower,
we tabled
I'm
it.
sorry, you said Ms. Thrower, I thought you were now moving
No.
it on into her comments. My apologies.
Trying to get
I'll just say that I keep hearing from the board member who would be affected that, there's not an appetite there to have the conversation. So far be it from me.
And my concern about it is why it keep coming up. If the board member hasn't complained about it, or the constituents aren't complaining about it, I just don't see why we keep bringing it to the table. So.
I'll make one final statement about it,
Sure,
Chair, if that's
absolutely.
okay. It's basically because our live-in districts now do not reflect the schools we represent. And so because we made that change, there are potentially parents in the schools that we now represent that would not be able to run in the seats of those that are representing the schools. And so that's one of the primary reasons, because our live-in districts changed and the schools we represent never did. So that's why. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I just need clarification. So the other one was the request I think Dr. James made. We, as you know, board, we just applied. We issued a notice of intent to apply for consideration from the state for an associate in science degree for radiography. Radiography is a program we already have at MTI. That is a brand new process. We'll be the first in the state to do that. It's new for all of us. We're working on the timeline. Mr. Smallridge he knows how this process works, but it's new. So I was going to add that to an upcoming work session just to provide timeline and next steps. It'll probably take most of this semester and into summer, but that process has started. So work session, is that correct? I'm just making sure I have clarity on our topics as that my team goes through and adds items. Yes? Okay. And then just finally, this is just to say thank you to our community. Remember that school and district offices are closed Monday, January 20th in observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we are very grateful and the opportunity to recognize the amazing legacy that he left us. So we are closed on Monday. Thank you, Board.
Yes, thank you. Board Member Thrower.
Thank you. Where to start?
Do we still have one more item of business to take care of, however?
Well, we can do it before we conclude the meeting, right?
Well,
We can do
we're
comments.
moving into board member comments. Are we
Comments,
doing
yeah.
that? Are we doing it off air after board member comments? I just want to
Yes.
make sure it doesn't get
That way everyone can leave,
understood.
right?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
All right,
Seeking
sorry, Board Member
clarification.
Thrower.
Sure. I'm going to truncate this because it is moving into a long evening, but I will say in the spirit of honoring perfect audits, we had a couple of them, and I'm only going to talk about the one in my district because it's kind of a big deal. And I know everyone else likes to acknowledge theirs too. But at Hillcrest School, it was the same school secretary for many years, Miss Peggy. So she was a tough act to follow. Perfect. I see you, Miss Boston, all this time. It was perfect audit after perfect audit after perfect audit. But I'm making this point because of the fact that it just goes to show you when you lift people up and you provide the training and the encouragement and the wherewithal, to keep going and not feel bad about it, that this is what you get. You get a perfect audit. And I thought it was wonderful what the principal said. And I'm going to quote her. She said, "A perfect audit is difficult to achieve. I will be congratulating you," and I said that, "I will be congratulating you in Hillcrest during my comment time at the end of this Tuesday's school board meeting." And the response I got was, "Thank you for noticing. Ms. Slater has learned a lot in a short amount of time. No one else I would rather have by my side to manage what she does. She is amazing in so many ways. See you soon." And I thought, if that doesn't exemplify the way we want to nurture each new employee that we get in each new position. And it's really easy to tear people apart. But lifting people up, that's where the rubber meets the road and the name of the game, in my opinion, for everything that we do. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. I thought that was so cool. I appreciate the Kingdom of the Sun Concert Band members coming out tonight. Their testimony was passionate. It's clear that they absolutely adore what they do. So I have no doubt that we'll be able to come to a good, solid fee schedule that honors that and our other nonprofits, while still making sure, that we get what we need to keep the lights on. And there's a lot more that I could cover, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that for tonight. And I'm grateful for everyone for the work they continue to do on behalf of Marion County Public Schools. So thank you. And welcome aboard again, Mr. Casey.
All right, Dr. Campbell.
Thank you. I will mention perfect audits, but if we want to stick with that, then I'm not going to acknowledge College Park, and Reverend Cummings can do that. But I'll not acknowledge Forest High School for their perfect audit because they are in District 1. And my note on that was they manage more than $650,000 in disbursements. And so having a perfect audit in that kind of financial positioning is even more exemplary than what we could imagine in some of our other settings. So also in consent tonight, we approved annual contracts for our employees this school year. I continue to believe that we need to enhance our systems and processes board to get us to where we're bringing those contracts up much sooner than midway through a school year. So whatever the team needs for us to get there, I would love for our employees to start the year with their new contracts. And so we continue to work towards that. But whatever systems and processes we need, Dr. Gullett, your team, this board member welcomes knowing what that would look like for us. We also in consent approved the modification of the old girls' locker room at Osceola Middle School to now become a rock room because Osceola is getting their new gymnasium after 100 years of a building. And that girls' locker room that was not even near the gymnasium. I love that new plan. We also approved the timeline adjustment on stadium lighting, and with good reason, because we had Dunellen High School and Vanguard High School both in football playoffs, and so that delayed the timeline on us getting that lighting up, those lighting upgrades. This evening, the Marion County Boys Basketball Tournament started, and that our teams all play other surrounding districts often, but this week they're playing each other in a Marion County tournament, and our JV Boys Basketball Tournament is upcoming later this month as well. Last thing I'll say, we were having fun just this week talking about the teachers that have had all three of my boys, and Miss Avery is one of them, and she was here tonight with Osceola Middle School. There aren't very many teachers in all of Marion County that have had all three Campbell boys, but Miss Avery is one of them. So just wanted to acknowledge her hard work in that red ribbon video that her students were able to put together. So Osceola won that award. And with that, those are my comments. Oh, and welcome to our student board members again. Yes, want to make sure we acknowledge you. Welcome. We always enjoy having you here.
Yes, and with that, we'll just slide right into board student comments, excuse me. So Carson, would you like to share comments with us?
Yes, first I wanted to say thank you guys for having me here and just letting me experience what happens at these meetings. And I'm honored to represent North Marion and my other fellow students who are there. On behalf of North Marion, I just want to leave a couple comments. Our FCA will be joining the FCA breakfast on January 28th. We'll get to speak there. And our windows are finally installed after a long and quite exhausting process. So we're very grateful for that and just waiting for the blinds, which I'm sure will be there pretty shortly. And like you guys mentioned, the Marion County tournament is going on. And I was watching that before I actually came here. So that was exciting to get to see everyone showing up to play basketball. And then I also just wanting to discuss some of the things you guys talked tonight. It's really cool to see how you guys facilitate funds to help us where we are. The cost reimbursement given by the Palm Beach State College, our school uses that for the classic learning test, and it really helps out a lot of those students there. And also just all the things you guys do to figure out where the money goes and how it helps us As students, we appreciate it. And I'm excited for this new year and to see how God blesses this second half. And I'm honored to learn so much from you guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Carson. We are just blessed to have you here with us. Chloe?
Hi, I'm Chloe. Thank you so much for having me here today. It has been an honor to be able to be a part of this board and just see what goes on behind the scenes and be able to help with you guys and give you guys student input. Again, I'm so grateful. It was really interesting getting to see you guys make decisions today. I appreciate you guys taking the time and really being very thorough with what you're doing and making sure you're making the best decisions for the people you represent, especially with the taxpayer money you guys have. I really appreciate that as a citizen. I'd also like to congratulate Miss Avery's class again. I was a part of her video production team when I was at Osceola, and she really is an awesome teacher and does some great stuff. Talking about Forest High School, I am honored to be able to represent such a great school. I think we have one of the greatest student bodies. I see so many different leaders, and they all come to me with crazy ideas, things to bring forward. I've been asking around. As you know, I'm a proud leader of the ROTC program at Forest High School, and our location at the school is in portables. That has been several students have come up to me with safety concerns regarding the portables. The walls, I don't know if you know the age of the portables at Forest High School, but the
We do.
ROTC ones are
Sadly, we
from the
do.
original Forest High School. They are older than the actual school they sit at right now.
Right.
The walls are paper thin. It's a safe schools concern in general. The Ocala Gazette claims that they're supposed to be temporary. I would consider them ancient at this point. So they've had to have ceilings replaced, all of that. But according to the Marion County Public Schools website, replacing all the portables that Marion County Public Schools owns would cost over $50 million. My suggestion would be to start small and maybe start with building a wing of Forest High School. As of right now, we are already over capacity with the student body. I know we have like 700 something freshmen came in, which I'm happy to have, more Wildcats. But I think it would be
Wild
wise to
kittens.
start looking into developing Forest High School sooner to modernize it. Because portables, I just don't think in this day and age are safe for students, as well as a viable solution. I think they're outdated. But those blue arrows you guys installed to show safe spaces in rooms, ours are installed in your cabinets because those are the thickest part of the portable. So just putting that out there. But other than that, I am honored to serve on this court, and I hope to keep bringing forth concerns that students around me have brought to the attention of myself, because I want to make sure I'm using this position to best represent my student body. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Reverend Cummings.
Let me start first with Chloe. Well, let me start with Carson. Thank you for being on the board, being a representative from North Marion. You guys are going to, obviously, you are paying attention to all the things that's going on with this board. As you can see, it can get lengthy. The conversation can get lengthy and sometimes monotonous. You can shake your head and say, yeah, you're right. But I appreciate you guys being here. Chloe, I almost stood up and gave you a standing ovation, because I'm a Wildcat too. And so by you being a Wildcat, you brought forth the right issues. You didn't come with some outlandish stuff. You came with real legitimate issues concerning and advocating for the Wildcats. So I appreciate that, and we look forward to hearing more comments coming from you concerning Forest. Go Wildcats. I do want to do some other comments, as the other board members talked about the audits. Yes, College Park was one of those as well. Shout out to Ms. Forsythe and the folk over at College Park. I was there yesterday for their graduation. It was, once again, it was another great graduation for them. I appreciate all that they do at College Park. It is a changed school compared to the College Park that I attended. The College Park that I attended was actually at the College of Central Florida. So that is relatively a new school in my mind. In my mind, it's a new school.
No one
So
else's.
it is different. The demographics are different. The challenges are different. I applaud the staff there in some of the burdens that they are overcoming. at College Park. I do have a question, and I guess it's a comment, and I kind of was seeking some information. We had looked at a list came out not too long ago, I guess before the holidays, about some schools that were doing their recruiting and retention bonuses, and I think that list may have left off a couple of schools, MTI and Hillcrest, and we're supposed to get that on the board agenda. Fordham as well, and I'm looking forward to when that's going to get put on the packet, because those folk are doing some great work, and we want to make sure that we do the right thing by those. And then finally, I'll close, because I've already set enough out for us. So Monday, and Dr. Gullis already mentioned, Monday is the holiday. The MLK holiday is a day on, not a day off. And I've already sent a copy of the activities to Attorney Powers and Board Clerk Martinez to share with the other board members. Saturday is the prayer breakfast at Mary Sue Rich. Actually, the speaker just left. It's Pastor Gilmore, not Jamie Gilmore, but his dad. He's actually the speaker this year. So he just left. And so the prayer breakfast is Saturday morning, as well as the wreath-laying ceremony, as well as the Youth Day activities, which is going to be at Mary Sue Rich. So I encourage you all that can make it to come. And then Sunday is the ecumenical service at the New St. John Missionary Baptist Church, where Dr. Tommy Brooks is the pastor. And then Monday is the actual march and the day in the park. Councilman Bethea requested that we be on the square as board members by no later than 8:30. The march will start promptly at 9 o'clock. And it's a quick walk, because y'all walk fast.
And it's cold.
And it's normally cold, and it's supposed to be cold Monday. So we look forward to that and the activities and celebrating the holiday. But again, remember that it's not a day for chilling out and sitting at home. It's a day of service for many people. So I look forward to seeing you guys Monday morning.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings. And Dr. James?
Oh, sorry. And you guys are welcome to join us.
Okay.
You want to join us at 8:30 on the square on Monday morning?
Yeah.
Instead of sleeping in?
Wear your jacket. Yeah. It'll probably be cold.
It'll be cold.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. I wanted to start by thanking everyone for still being here. It's been a long evening, so I appreciate everyone's presence. Board, recently we talked about committees. It's something we always talk about, usually after we have a chair election. And I serve on the Code of Conduct Committee, and I have done that since I got on the board 2 years ago. The prior 2 years, the participation, well, first, I don't know how frequently other committees meet, but Code of Conduct meets a significant amount, usually between 6 and 8 times, to kind of hash out all of the different components. I don't really serve on any other committees for this school district, so I don't have a reference as to how frequently other committees meet. But historically, that participation has been, you have been allowed to participate virtually. And so you can log on Teams or whatever and participate in the discussion and be a part, because the meetings are held after work, seeing as the committee is made up of administrators and deans who primarily serve schools. However, that virtual participation is not available this year. And so for that reason, I'm not going to be able to participate in the manner in which I should participate as a board member, because I, with less than a week notice, am not available to serve 6 night sessions from 4:45 to 6:30 over the next 6 weeks or so. So I wanted to let the board be aware that my participation was not going to be what the expectation is. And if someone else wants to take on that role and have in-present participation, I wanted to afford that opportunity to someone else. But I was made aware of the non-virtual option. I sent an email Sunday, but would have been responded Monday, but I didn't receive a response. So when I saw Dr. Hembrook tonight, I asked her, which is why I'm now bringing it up to you, board. So.
This is the code of conduct.
Yeah, the code of conduct. So it's 4:45 to 6:30 at MTI on January 16th, January 21st, January 30th, February 4th, February 13th, February 18th, and then a virtual session if needed, I believe, on the 27th. So I cannot make that level of commitment.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would love to, because you know I'm one of the ones that have concerns with our code of conduct as well. I've served on it before, but if any other board members have to have it, I'll sit back, but I would prefer to really have that one.
All right. I see Dr. Campbell checking her calendar real quick.
You said February 13th?
Yeah, January 16th, 21st, 30th, February 4th, 13th, 18th.
A question.
Yes.
Does it necessarily have to be the same board member going to every meeting? Only because there's been such a heightened focus on and discussion, you know, it might be nice for each board member to have an opportunity to sit in, but maybe that would just muddy the waters.
I think because we offer our input, and then it would be polling if they take our input to change the code of conduct. If they heard from one board member and then heard from another, and then they made decisions, I think that's why it's always been just one board member, since it's a votable item, is the way I have understood it.
And Attorney Powers is nodding his head.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's accurate.
I knew there was a good reason why it wouldn't work.
Yes.
So I could be available. The only one that is a little tricky, and it could be for more than one of us, is February 13th, because that's the day we'll be coming back from Tallahassee. If we're spending the night on the 12th and then driving back on the 13th. Right now, I'm not certain if we're having meetings on both the 12th and the 13th. That was kind of my hope. But until we have that meeting schedule and what committee schedule looks like, it might be a little challenging to get back on the 13th, but I could be available the other days. But certainly if Reverend Cummings can be as well, I'm fine either way.
Okay. All right. Reverend Cummings, would you like to take that on? Okay. All right. So Reverend Cummings, you're going to take over the committee for Student Code of Conduct.
The first meeting is Thursday,
At
4:45 MTI. I'm sure Dr. Hembrook's staff can forward you the emails, correspondence, and the calendar invites. Okay, thank you for hearing me out on that. Board, and then I have a statement I'm going to read because I want to read it into the record. It is an email that I will be sending to Attorney Powers to then forward to the board members as well. This email is being sent in response to the lack of information from MCPS staff in regard to my ODP request, which was originally sent on 11/6/2024. I will note at no time since my original request have I received any questions or comments from any staff person of MCPS. During board comments in the January 9th board meeting, I shared my discontent with the information we received regarding purchase orders from July 1st, 2020 to November 2024. I made a formal request to receive all of the data that had been shared from our CFO to facilities, as well as all of the POs throughout that time. My request was not acknowledged by the superintendent during the meeting or any time after, nor did I hear from any member of staff since January 9th on this matter until the email we received from Ms. Boombach this afternoon. Now I am making a formal public records request as not only a taxpayer, but also a board member. I want to receive the 127 purchase orders that were processed through facilities from 7/1/2020 to 11/1/2024 and indicated in the email we received this afternoon from Ms. Boombach. I expect this public records request to be processed expeditiously, as you have already had 2 months to collect the data originally requested on 11/6/2024. And if there are no further questions from the board, that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. James. I have a short list to run through because we have been here a long time. I just want to thank the Board of County Commissioners for allowing us to use this facility. It is lovely, and I also want to say thank you to their teams. Reynolds is back here and manning the sound. It's Alicia, and so she's in the back doing video. And so just many of you don't know, I have a lot of hearing concerns, and this has just been a dream for me. I can hear everybody and everything so well, and I'm just really grateful for the opportunity. So thank you for the time and energy that the team here has put into helping us have our meeting. So thank you. Particularly, I'm looking right at Reynolds because he's working with all the audio. So thank you to those teams of people. I did want to ask, this discussion happened during our meeting, but is the board interested in having a meeting or a work session about discussing policy for consultation and fees for outside counsel? Is that something you're interested or no?
the way I heard Dr. Cable say there might be legislation coming down, is that, or
For
did I?
consultants?
Yeah. Or did I not hear that correctly?
No, I was just stating that it was, because it was a piggyback contract, that
Okay.
I believe that there are multiple districts using that same rate. And so that was, but I did not, to my knowledge, there's nothing coming down for legislation.
I'll bring back, if the board would like me to, I will get the proposed policy that had some Neola structure in it already as to consultant fees that can be paid, as well as the attorney fee policy, and present it to the board as an item for during a work session, just for you guys to discuss, talk about. We wouldn't likely be doing it as an independent standalone update, even if we chose to alter it.
Okay.
But there's no harm in allowing you to see what options are there, both for consultants and for attorneys, because it may be that it's appropriate for us to update the attorney's fee policy as well to some degree, or at least to allow some bifurcation in there. So I can at least bring it to you, and just give me a little time to put it together.
Okay, that'd be great, and I appreciate it. And that leads me to think that other districts, if Neola has picked it up, in addressing it, it leads me to believe that other districts are struggling with the amount that, that companies are charging, and they're getting around a lawyer fee by doing a consultation fee. And so I appreciate that, Attorney Powers. So
Sure.
Thank you, board, for that. I just want to say thank you. I really enjoyed the literacy presentations this morning, board. I don't know if you've gotten a few emails or a few calls about participating in Literacy Week, but I get to be a mystery reader at a few schools, so I'm super excited about getting to be a mystery reader. So just really excited. Our teams at the school level do a lot of work to get our kids excited and motivated and engaged in Literacy Week. So just excited for that opportunity, and I hope you are too. Quick announcement, the Golden Apple Gala is February 1st. I am not able to attend. I will be out of town for a wedding, but Vice Chair Cummings is able to attend, so he will be representing us there. I know, Chair Thrower, you were unable to attend. Also, you will be out of town. All right. Dr. Campbell is going to be there, and Dr. James. Very good. All right. I just, it's near and dear to my heart, and so I literally, if I could be two people at one place, I would do it for that occasion, and so I just hate to miss it. So thank you for those that are able to attend. Make sure you take some good pictures so you can share with us. Just really looking forward to that. Also, you may have received an email that the Public Ed Foundation is opening the Nook, and so the grand opening is Thursday afternoon at 3:30. If you're available, please feel free to stop by and check out the space and see. It's something they've been working on for over a year as a space for our teachers and our staff. So if you have the opportunity, please stop by. I did have, when I looked on our agenda today, there were placements for our students at MTI, and when I looked in that, I was really concerned. There were a lot of students, and a lot of the notes on the spreadsheet were noted as egregious. And so I called Mr. Jones to see how he was doing and what his numbers are. And then I asked him from this seat, what can I do to help you? I haven't been in his position. I personally feel he has one of the most challenging jobs in Marion County right now. And so one of the things he shared was some incentive for the teachers and staff at his school. And so that he would really, that he has a presentation. He submitted some ideas. And so I just would like to see where we are on that, because his concern was to get that in place before the transfer period, because outside of what's going on with the challenges he has with the students on his campus is also retaining teachers and guidance counselors. And he is losing staff because many of them took a pay cut to come there. Some of them took a pay cut to come there. And so I'm just interested in supporting him in his mission to meet the needs of the students at MTI. And so would just like if someone, there's no emergency, but someone can get back to me and share where we are And if that's doable, Ms. Bostonellis, I didn't get to call you today. The phone was really crazy busy, but you're next on my list to check because I know we have to see if we have, funding to do that. Any sort of.
Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair, it is emergency. I think it is.
Well, we're
is
on a very
urgent.
tight
Yeah,
crunch. I know
yeah,
that we are, but
yeah.
I want to give our staff a little time
And-
because
and
I
I'm-
just called them this afternoon.
And I want to say that because I hear a lot of the things that are going on with trying to have staff there and the losing of staff. I'm hoping that we can get this to a work session very, very soon, sooner than later, giving staff the time to pull it up and Mr. Jones the opportunity to present it because we don't want him to miss that opportunity to get good staff to come there. And that's kind of what he started out behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And we don't want to keep keeping him behind the 8 ball. So I think we need to kind of put a little urgency to it.
I agree. I wanted to
Yes.
afford our staff the opportunity to gather the data that they need. Ms. Marion mentioned that gathering data from surrounding districts and what they're doing, what's being offered, and so I understand all of that.
Madam Chair, may I comment, just provide some update and context to the board with the request and that Vice Chair Cummings brings up. We've talked about that too, and just as a reminder, there are grant funds associated with that. So the team's looking at what those grant funds are, what the availability is, because those would require amendments whenever we do grants. Just, I wanted to bring that to your awareness. So
Okay.
it often doesn't just happen overnight, and there's planning involved with grant funds. So I know that Ms. Bostonellis, who's overseeing grants, as well as Ms. Harris, are looking at that.
Okay, and I appreciate that, but I still really would like us to see, to try to get this across the finish line for him before the transfer period, which I believe is after spring break.
And we'll provide an update. I'll make sure
Okay.
the team gets that
Great.
together with a timeline and what we can do and provide an update to the board.
Okay. Thank you very much. And with that, I think that concludes my board comments. Attorney Powers, we need to go into a recess first, is that correct?
No, we don't need.
We can close, we can adjourn.
We
Right.
do not need to go into a recess, but you can sign the closing documents now that we're done.
Okay,
we still
we'll
have
just
the
have the
off-air
one
item.
off-air
Oh, for the
portion.
off-air, correct, yes.
So you want to do off-air first, and then we'll just finish out?
Recess, recess to recess.
Let's,
Okay.
right, recess,
Okay.
correct.
All right. Board, we're going to
Yes, ma'am.
recess at 8:43. Thank you.